One whispered word, one folded note, one decision that will burn her entire world to ash. Elena Voss didn't mean to become the most wanted woman in the city. She was just a waitress who heard the wrong conversation at the wrong table. But when she slipped that warning to Adrian Vale, the man they call the ghost of the East Side, she crossed a line drawn in blood. Now his fiancée wants her dead. The feds want her in chains. And Adrian? He wants something she never saw coming. Stay until the end. Hit that like button. Drop your city in the comments. Let me see how far this story travels. The rain came down in sheets that Thursday night, the kind that turned the streets outside Vesper House into black mirrors reflecting nothing but lies. Elena Voss moved through the dining room with the practiced invisibility of someone who'd spent 6 years perfecting the art of being overlooked. Tray balanced, smile fixed, eyes sharp, always sharp. Table 9 needs another bottle of the Chateau Margaux, Marcus said, brushing past her with empty plates stacked to his chin. The big spender with the scary pretty girlfriend. Elena nodded, already moving toward the wine cellar stairs. She'd noticed table 9 the moment they'd walked in 2 hours ago. You didn't work at Vesper House without learning to read people the way other folks read menus. The man, Adrian Vale, according to the reservation, carried himself like someone who'd forgotten how to be afraid. Expensive suit, understated watch, the kind of calm that came from knowing exactly how dangerous you were. The woman across from him, though, Cassandra Hale. That's what the reservation had said. She looked like she'd been designed rather than born. Every angle perfect, every gesture calculated. The kind of beautiful that made other women hate themselves and men stupid. Elena had seen couples like them before. Rich, untouchable, the type who left 20% exactly and never looked their server in the eye. Except Adrian had looked at her, just once, when she'd brought the first bottle. His eyes had caught hers for half a second, and she'd felt something she couldn't name. Recognition, maybe. Or warning. She pulled the Margaux from the rack, checked the year, 2015, $1,200 a bottle, Jesus, and headed back upstairs. The kitchen was chaos as usual. Chef Raymond screaming about temperatures, sous chefs moving in practice panic, dishwashers creating symphonies of clatter and steam. "Elena," Raymond barked. "Table 6 is asking about the halibut again. Tell them it's fresh, it's local, and if they don't trust me, they can eat at fucking Applebee's." "I'll phrase it differently," she said, slipping past him. Back in the dining room, the atmosphere had shifted. Elena felt it immediately. The air had gone tight, electric, like the moment before lightning strikes. She'd learned to trust these feelings. Growing up in the Colton Street projects taught you things that nice people never had to learn. How to sense danger before it announced itself. How to know when a room had gone from safe to survival. She approached table 9 with the wine, professional smile in place. "Your Chateau Margaux," she said, beginning the ritual of presentation. "Just pour it," Cassandra said, not looking up from her phone. Adrian's eyes flicked to Elena again, longer this time. Something passed between them, a fraction of understanding that made no sense. He knew she'd noticed something. Somehow, he knew. Elena poured, hands steady despite the crawling sensation on the back of her neck. She could hear fragments of conversation from the tables around her. Normal stuff. Anniversary dinners, business deals, someone's daughter getting into Princeton. But table 9 sat in silence. "Will there be anything else?" Elena asked. "No," Cassandra said, still not looking up. "Actually," Adrian said, his voice smooth and quiet, "could you recommend a dessert?" Cassandra's eyes snapped to him. Just for a second, Elena saw something crack in that perfect facade. Annoyance. Or calculation. "The chocolate soufflé is exceptional," Elena heard herself say. "But it takes 20 minutes to prepare." Adrian smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. "Perfect. We'll take 2. As Elena walked away, she caught the edge of Cassandra's response. "We don't have 20 minutes, Adrian. They'll be here soon." Elena's blood went cold. She moved through her other tables on autopilot, mind racing. "They'll be here soon." Who? Why did that sound like a threat? And why did Cassandra look at her watch like she was counting down to something? "You okay?" Marcus asked, appearing at her elbow with a tray of empty cocktail glasses. "You look like you've seen something." "I'm fine," she lied. But she wasn't fine. Every instinct she'd honed growing up in neighborhoods where you learned to spot trouble or died young was screaming at her now. Something was wrong with Table 9. Something was about to happen. She glanced across the restaurant. Adrian had excused himself to the restroom. Cassandra sat alone, typing rapidly on her phone, a small smile playing at her lips that made Elena think of sharks circling wounded prey. Then Elena saw them. 3 men had entered through the main doors. Not together. They'd come in separately, 30 seconds apart, the way people do when they don't want to look like they're together. All 3 wore suits. All 3 moved with purpose. And all 3 were scanning the room with eyes that lingered too long on exits, on sightlines, on Table 9. Elena's heart kicked into overdrive. She grabbed a water pitcher, the universal prop of invisible servers, and drifted closer to Table 9. Close enough to hear Cassandra on the phone. Yes, he's here. Table 9, exactly where I said. You have 15 minutes before his people get suspicious. Elena's hand trembled. Water sloshed against the rim of the pitcher. Cassandra continued. No, he doesn't suspect anything. Why would he? I've been perfect for 18 months. He trusts me completely. A pause. Just make sure it looks like a robbery gone wrong. I don't want questions. Elena backed away slowly, blood roaring in her ears. This couldn't be real. This was Vesper House. People proposed here. They celebrated promotions and anniversaries and life's safe, expensive moments. They didn't plan executions. Adrian emerged from the hallway, adjusting his cufflinks. He walked like a man without a care in the world. Like a man who had no idea his fiancée had just ordered his death. Elena's mind raced through options. Call the police? And tell them what? That she'd overheard a conversation that could mean anything? That 3 men in suits had walked into a restaurant? By the time she convinced anyone, Adrian would be dead. Tell Marcus? Tell Chef Raymond? They'd think she'd lost her mind. She had one choice. One stupid, dangerous, probably suicidal choice. She grabbed her order pad, scribbled 5 words with shaking hands, tore off the page, and folded it twice. Then she moved toward Table 9 with the kind of calm that only comes from absolute terror. Your soufflés will be out in 12 minutes, she said, placing fresh napkins on the table. As she set Adrian's down, she tucked the folded note beneath it. Can I get you anything while you wait? Adrian reached for the napkin, felt the paper, and went absolutely still. His hand didn't shake. His expression didn't change. But Elena saw his eyes shift, saw him read the note without moving it. Your fiancé set a trap. Leave now. For 3 heartbeats, nothing happened. Then Adrian's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, frowned, and stood smoothly. I'm sorry, darling. Work emergency. I need to take this outside. Cassandra's perfect smile froze. Now, Adrian, we're celebrating. 5 minutes, he said, already moving. But he wasn't heading for the door. He was heading for the kitchen. Cassandra's eyes narrowed. Then they landed on Elena. The temperature in the room dropped 20 degrees. You, Cassandra said softly, what did you just do? Elena's throat closed. I don't know what... Cassandra stood up, all pretense of warmth gone. What did you give him? The 3 men in suits started moving toward the kitchen, fast. Elena ran. She didn't think, didn't plan, just bolted toward the kitchen doors, shoving through them hard enough to make the hinges scream. Raymond looked up from a sauté pan, mouth opening to yell, but Elena was already past him, past the line cooks and dishwashers, heading for the back exit where they took deliveries. Adrian was there, phone in hand, eyes scanning the alley beyond the open door. Smart girl, he said, voice tight. But you shouldn't have... The kitchen doors exploded inward. The 3 men burst through, and Elena saw the guns, small and black and very, very real. Adrian grabbed her wrist and yanked her into the alley. Rain hit her face like cold needles. They ran left, Adrian's grip ironclad, pulling her around a dumpster just as gunfire cracked through the air. Loud, impossibly loud, echoing off brick and metal. Oh God, oh God, oh God, Elena gasped. Quiet, Adrian hissed. He pulled a phone from his pocket, pressed 2 buttons. Checkpoint 7. Now. 3 hostiles, civilian in tow. They ran deeper into the alley, Elena's sensible work shoes slipping on wet pavement. Behind them, shouts, more gunfire. The world had gone insane in under 2 minutes. A black SUV screamed around the corner, tires shrieking. Adrian shoved Elena toward it, and the back door opened from inside. She tumbled in, Adrian right behind her, and the vehicle was moving before the door even closed. Elena pressed herself against the leather seat, gasping, shaking. Two men sat in the front, both armed, both silent. Adrian was on his phone again, speaking in rapid, clipped sentences that Elena couldn't process. "What?" she tried. "What is happening? Who are you?" Adrian looked at her for the first time since the alley. Really looked at her. "You just saved my life," he said, "which means you just signed your own death warrant." I'm just a waitress. Not anymore." He leaned forward to the driver. "Where's Cassandra?" "Still at the restaurant. Feds showed up 30 seconds after you left. Full raid. She's playing victim, crying about her fiancé disappearing." Adrian laughed, a sound without humor. "Of course she is. 18 months. 18 months of perfect performance, and she almost had me." Elena's head was spinning. "Feds? You mean the FBI?" "Among others." Adrian studied her like she was a puzzle he couldn't quite solve. "What's your name?" "Elena. Elena Voss." "Well, Elena Voss, you have approximately 1 hour before Cassandra realizes you're the reason I'm still breathing. When that happens, she will dedicate every resource she has to making you disappear. Do you have family?" The question hit her like a fist. "My brother, Tommy. He's 14, I'm his legal guardian." "Where is he right now?" "Home. Our apartment on Colton Street." Panic surged through her. "Oh God, they'll go after him." Adrian was already typing. "Address?" She gave it, words tumbling over each other. Adrian sent the text, then made a call. "I need a pickup. Colton Street, apartment 4B, teenage boy, name's Tommy Voss. Bring him to the warehouse. Yes, I know the protocols. Do it anyway." He hung up and met Elena's wild eyes. "We'll have him within 20 minutes. He'll be safe." "Safe? Nothing about this is safe. I work at a restaurant. I don't know anything about—" She gestured helplessly at the guns, the armed men, the bullet holes probably still smoking in the alley they'd left behind. "You know enough to spot a trap when you see one," Adrian said. "That's more than most people can say." The SUV turned sharply, throwing Elena against the door. They were heading toward the warehouse district, where the city's old industrial bones showed through like scars. "Why did you do it?" Adrian asked. "You didn't know me. You had no reason to get involved." Elena thought about the question, about Cassandra's cold smile, about the 3 men with guns, about all the times in her life she'd seen something wrong and looked away because it was safer, easier, smarter. "I heard her," she said quietly, "on the phone. She said to make it look like a robbery gone wrong. She said she'd been perfect for 18 months. Elena met his eyes. "And I thought, if nobody tells him, he's dead. And if I don't tell him, then I'm the one who let it happen." Adrian was quiet for a moment, then, "You have good instincts." "My instincts just got me shot at." "Your instincts kept you alive. There's a difference." The SUV pulled into an underground garage, concrete and shadows, and the smell of oil. They descended 3 levels before stopping. Armed men materialized from the darkness, 6 of them, all carrying weapons that made Elena's stomach twist. "Clear?" Adrian asked. "Clear, sir. No tails, no tags." Adrian stepped out, then offered Elena his hand. She stared at it for a beat before taking it. Her palm was slick with sweat. They walked through a maze of corridors, each door requiring a keycard or fingerprint or both. Elena's mind cataloged details automatically. Emergency exits, camera placements, the number of armed guards, survival instincts from a different kind of dangerous neighborhood. Finally, they entered a large room that looked like it belonged in a tech startup. Glass walls, modern furniture, screens everywhere displaying feeds from what looked like 1,000 different cameras. "Sit," Adrian said, pointing to a leather chair. Elena sat. She was shaking now, adrenaline crash hitting hard. "My brother—" 2 minutes out, one of the men said, checking a screen. "Team Delta has him. Says the kid was gaming, didn't even know anything was wrong." The relief nearly broke her. Elena put her head in her hands, breathing hard. "Get her water," Adrian said, "and something for the shock." Someone pressed a bottle into her hands. She drank without tasting it. The room spun slightly. Adrian pulled up a chair across from her. His earlier calm had shifted into something sharper, more focused. I need to know exactly what you heard, every word you remember. Elena closed her eyes, pulled the memory forward. She was on the phone. She said, "Yes, he's here, table 9, exactly where I said." Then she said something about 15 minutes before your people got suspicious. And she said, Elena swallowed. She said, "I've been perfect for 18 months. He trusts me completely." Adrian's jaw tightened. What else? She told whoever was on the phone to make it look like a robbery gone wrong. She didn't want questions. Elena opened her eyes. That's when I knew. That's when I wrote the note. Did she see you? Did she know you were listening? I don't think so. I was across the room, holding a water pitcher. A bitter laugh escaped. I'm good at being invisible. Waitresses always are. One of the screens flickered, and suddenly Elena was looking at the interior of Vesper House. The video feed showed Cassandra surrounded by men in FBI jackets, tears streaming down her perfect face, gesturing frantically toward the kitchen. Disappeared. He just ran. I don't know why. Her voice cracked beautifully. Please, you have to find him. Something's wrong. Adrian would never just leave. Oscar-worthy, Adrian muttered. Another screen showed different angles of the restaurant. Elena spotted herself in one, placing the note. The timestamp read 8:47 p.m. She's already pivoting the narrative, one of Adrian's men said. Local news is reporting a possible domestic incident. Unidentified female staff member seen fleeing with the missing man. Adrian swore softly. They're making Elena part of the story. What does that mean? Elena asked, dread pooling in her stomach. The answer came 30 seconds later when another screen lit up with a news broadcast. A reporter stood outside Vesper House, rain-soaked and urgent. FBI sources confirmed they're seeking this woman for questioning in connection with tonight's incident. A photo appeared on screen. It was Elena, pulled from her employee file. Her name scrolled beneath. Elena Voss, 24, Vesper House employee. Authorities stress she's wanted for questioning only, but sources suggest possible involvement in what may have been a kidnapping or coercion scenario. Elena couldn't breathe. No, I didn't. I was trying to help. I know, Adrian said, his voice steady. But they're not going to believe that. Cassandra is a federal asset. She has credentials, connections, a cover story that's been 18 months in the making. You're a waitress from Colton Street with a record. I don't have a record? Juvie, one of the men said, typing rapidly. 2 counts shoplifting, 1 assault charge. Dropped, but it's in the system. Father, whereabouts unknown. Mother, deceased. You're exactly the profile they're looking for. Elena felt the walls closing in. This isn't real. This can't be real. A door opened and a man entered with a teenage boy who looked both terrified and trying very hard not to show it. Tommy, her brother, the only family she had left. Lena? Tommy's voice cracked. What's going on? These guys just showed up and said I had to come with them. Elena was across the room before she knew she was moving, pulling Tommy into a hug that probably hurt. He was taller than her now. When had that happened? Are you okay? Did anyone hurt you? I'm fine, but what? Sit down, Elena said. I need to explain something. She did, as simply as she could. She'd overheard something bad. She'd tried to help. Now people thought she'd done something she hadn't. They needed to stay here, where it was safe, until it got sorted out. Tommy listened with the kind of skepticism only a 14-year-old could muster. You're telling me you accidentally got involved with, what, the mob? I'm not the mob, Adrian said mildly. What are you then? Adrian considered the question. I solve problems. Usually for people who can't go to the police. So, the mob. Tommy, Elena warned. But Adrian laughed, sharp and sudden. Smart kid. I like him. He stood, addressing one of his men. Get them set up in the East Wing. Food, clean clothes, anything they need. Full security detail. What about you, sir? I have 18 months of lies to unpack. Adrian's expression went cold in a way that made Elena shiver. And a fiancé to deal with. Elena stepped forward before she could stop herself. What does that mean? Adrian met her eyes. It means Cassandra Hale is about to learn what happens when you try to kill me. He paused. She'll come for you too. She can't afford not to. You're the witness who ruins her entire play. Then what do I do? You stay here. You stay alive, and you let me handle this. I'm not... Elena struggled to find words. I can't just hide. I have a job. Tommy has school. We have a life. Had, Adrian interrupted gently. Past tense. The moment you handed me that note, your old life ended. I'm sorry. I truly am. But there's no going back now. The weight of it settled on her shoulders like concrete. Her apartment, her job, her carefully built life that had taken 6 years of night shifts and penny pinching and planning, gone. All of it gone because she'd done the right thing. That's not fair, she whispered. No, Adrian agreed. It's not. Tommy grabbed her hand. His palm was sweaty, scared. Lena, what's he saying? Elena looked at her brother, too young to understand, too old to lie to. I don't know yet, but we're going to be okay. She had no idea if that was true. Adrian motioned to one of his men, who stepped forward with practiced efficiency. Marcus will show you to your rooms. Get some rest. We'll talk more in the morning. Wait, Elena said. You never told me. Who are you? Really? Adrian studied her for a long moment. Someone who was almost killed by a very clever federal agent, he said finally. Someone who now owes his life to a waitress with sharp ears and sharper instincts. He tilted his head. And someone who's wondering what else you might notice if you stuck around. Stuck around? Here? The alternative is witness protection, new identities, a lifetime of looking over your shoulder while Cassandra's people hunt for loose ends. Adrian's voice was matter-of-fact, not cruel. Here, at least, I can keep you safe. And maybe you can help me figure out how deep this goes. Elena wanted to scream, wanted to run, wanted to wake up from this nightmare and find herself back at Vesper House, pouring wine for rich people with normal problems. Instead, she heard herself say, What happened to my things? My apartment? Being watched, one of the men said, not looking up from his screen. Local PD and at least 3 others we haven't ID'd yet. If you'd gone home tonight, you'd be dead or arrested within the hour. Tommy's hand tightened on hers. Okay, Elena said, voice hollow. Show us the rooms. Marcus led them through more corridors, up an elevator, into a wing that looked less like a warehouse and more like a high-end hotel. 2 rooms connected by a shared bathroom, clean, modern, impersonal. Clothes in the closets, Marcus said. Should fit. Kitchen's down the hall if you get hungry. Don't try any doors that don't open. We'll know. He left them alone. Elena sank onto the bed, exhausted beyond measure. Tommy stood in the doorway, arms crossed, trying to look tough and failing. Tell me the truth, he said. Are we prisoners? I don't know what we are, Elena admitted. Did you really do what the news said? Did you help that guy kidnap someone? No. I warned him that someone was trying to kill him, and it turned out that someone was his fiancée working with the FBI. Tommy processed that. So you saved a criminal from the FBI. I saved a person from being murdered. By the FBI. It's complicated. It's fucked up is what it is. Elena didn't have the energy to correct his language. She just pulled him into another hug. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I dragged you into this. You didn't drag me anywhere. You did what you always do, stuck your neck out for someone else. Tommy's voice was muffled against her shoulder. Remember when you punched Derek Martinez? Elena did remember. Tommy had been 12. Derek had been 17 and too interested in things that weren't his business. Elena had broken his nose. That was different. Was it? Tommy pulled back. You see something wrong, you fix it. It's who you are. It's why Mom left me with you instead of Aunt Carol. The mention of their mother, gone 3 years now, cancer, too fast, made Elena's throat tight. Mom was a waitress too, she said quietly. She taught me to notice things, to read a room, to know when someone's lying or scared or about to do something stupid. Sounds useful. It was. Until tonight. They sat in silence for a while. Outside, rain continued to hammer against windows that Elena suspected were bulletproof. Somewhere in this building, Adrian was planning something. Somewhere in the city, Cassandra was playing the victim so convincingly that the entire world believed her. And somewhere, somehow, Elena had to figure out how to survive what came next. "I'm hungry," Tommy announced, breaking the quiet. "Weird, right? We're maybe going to die and I'm thinking about food." Elena almost laughed. "You're 14. You're always thinking about food." They found the kitchen, industrial, gleaming, stocked like someone was preparing for the apocalypse. Tommy made a sandwich that defied physics. Elena picked at crackers and tried not to think about the fact that her face was probably on every news station in the city. "Miss Voss?" A woman appeared in the doorway, mid-30s, professional, armed. "Mr. Vale would like to speak with you." Elena glanced at Tommy, who was already eyeing a second sandwich. "Stay here." Wasn't planning on exploring the murder warehouse. The woman led Elena back through the maze, down different corridors this time. They stopped at a door that required both keycard and retinal scan. Serious security. Inside, Adrian sat at a massive desk covered in screens and documents. He'd changed clothes, now wearing dark pants and a shirt with rolled sleeves. He looked tired. "Your brother settling in?" he asked without looking up. "As well as can be expected." Elena stayed near the door. "What did you want to talk about?" Adrian finally looked at her. "I've been going through Cassandra's work. Everything she touched in the last 18 months. Every file, every conversation, every meeting." He pulled up a document on one of the screens. "She was thorough. I'll give her that." "What was she after?" "Everything. Client lists, financial records, security protocols. She was building a complete map of my entire operation to hand over to federal prosecutors." Adrian's voice was calm, but Elena saw the tension in his shoulders. "They would have dismantled everything I've built. Put 100 people in prison, destroyed families." "Isn't that what you deserve?" Elena asked before she could stop herself. "If you're a criminal." Adrian smiled, tired and sad. "You want the truth or the comfortable lie?" "Truth. I run a network that handles things the legal system can't or won't touch. Witness protection for people the government abandoned. Safe houses for abuse victims the courts failed. Information brokerage that keeps certain people from doing certain things that would hurt certain other people." He leaned back. "I've broken laws. Many laws. But I sleep fine at night." "That's not the same as being innocent." "No, it's not." Adrian studied her. "Does it matter to you whether I'm innocent?" Elena thought about it. Really thought about it. "I guess it depends on what you do next." "Fair enough." He pulled up another screen. "This is Cassandra's handler, FBI Special Agent Marcus Chen. He's been running her for 2 years. The engagement was his idea. Deep cover, long game." The photo showed an Asian man in his 40s, sharp suit, sharper eyes. "Why are you showing me this?" "Because you're in this now, whether you want to be or not. And because I think—" Adrian paused, choosing words carefully. "I think you have a talent for seeing things other people miss. You spotted Cassandra's trap in under 2 minutes. Do you know how rare that is?" "I'm a waitress. I notice things. It's the job." "It's more than the job." Adrian stood, moving to a window that looked out over the warehouse floor below. "I need someone I can trust. Someone who isn't part of the existing system, who doesn't have loyalties or history or compromises. Someone who sees clearly." "You want me to spy on people?" "I want you to stay alive. And if staying alive means helping me figure out who else Cassandra compromised, who else is working against me, then yes. That's exactly what I want." Elena shook her head. "I'm not qualified for whatever this is. I barely graduated high school. I serve food for a living." "You saved my life tonight with nothing but observation and instinct. That's more qualification than most people ever get." Adrian turned to face her. "I'm offering you a choice, Elena. You can stay here, safe, protected, but essentially a prisoner. I'll handle everything, and you and Tommy will be fine. Or you can be part of solving this. Help me find the holes Cassandra left. Help me figure out who else is compromised. And in return, I'll give you training, resources, and a future that doesn't involve hiding." Elena's laugh was sharp. "A future as what? A criminal?" "As someone who controls her own fate instead of letting other people write her story." The words hit harder than they should have. How many times had Elena felt like she was just reacting to life instead of choosing it? Working dead-end jobs to support Tommy. Living paycheck to paycheck, Surviving instead of living. I need to think about it, she said. You have until morning. After that, things get complicated fast. Elena turned to leave, then stopped. Why did she do it, Cassandra? 18 months is a long time to pretend to love someone. Adrian was quiet for so long Elena thought he wouldn't answer. Finally, I don't think she was pretending. Not entirely. That's what makes it worse. Back in her room, Elena found Tommy asleep on the couch, TV still playing some action movie with the sound muted. She covered him with a blanket and stood at the window, looking out at the rain-dark city. Her phone was gone, confiscated for security reasons. Her apartment was being watched. Her face was on the news. Her old life had been erased in the span of a few hours. And yet, there was something almost freeing about it. No more pretending everything was fine. No more smiling at customers who treated her like furniture. No more working herself to exhaustion for barely enough to survive. Maybe Adrian was right. Maybe this was a chance to choose something different, or maybe she was rationalizing because she had no other options. Elena pressed her forehead against the cool glass. Somewhere out there, Cassandra was planning her next move. The woman who'd spent 18 months building a perfect trap only to have it ruined by a waitress with sharp ears. She would come for Elena. That was certain. The only question was whether Elena would be ready when she did. Elena didn't sleep. She lay in the dark listening to Tommy's breathing from the next room and the distant hum of machinery somewhere in the building's guts. At 4 a.m, she gave up and went looking for coffee. The warehouse was different at night, quieter, but not silent. She could hear footsteps on different floors, the crackle of radio chatter, the occasional clang of metal on metal. People were working, always working. She found the kitchen empty and managed to figure out the espresso machine after only minor cursing. The coffee was better than anything she could afford on her salary, former salary. Can't sleep either? Elena spun, nearly dropping her cup. Adrian stood in the doorway, looking like he hadn't been to bed at all. His shirt was wrinkled, and there was a shadow of stubble on his jaw that made him look more human and somehow more dangerous at the same time. You scared the hell out of me, she said. Sorry. Occupational hazard. He moved to the machine and started making his own cup. I've been going through security footage, trying to see what I missed. Find anything? Everything. He laughed, but it sounded broken. She was perfect, Elena. Every gesture, every word, every moment we spent together. I've been trained to spot lies since I was 16 years old, and I never once questioned her. Elena sipped her coffee and said nothing. What could she say? That sometimes the best liars were the ones who believed their own stories? That love made people stupid? She barely knew this man. There's a moment, Adrian continued, about 6 months ago. We were in Paris. She'd planned this whole trip, every detail. We were sitting in this cafe near the Seine, and she looked at me and said, he stopped, jaw tight. She said she'd never been happier, and I believed her. Maybe it was true, Elena said quietly. In that moment, Adrian looked at her sharply. How does that make it better? It doesn't, but it might make it more complicated. He was quiet for a long moment, then nodded slowly. You see things clearly, even things people don't want to see. He finished making his espresso and leaned against the counter. Have you decided? About helping you? About what comes next? Elena thought about Tommy sleeping in the next room, about the apartment they'd never go back to, about the life she'd spent 6 years building that had crumbled in 2 hours. I don't want to be helpless, she heard herself say. I've been helpless my whole life. Poor, invisible, just trying to survive. And tonight I did something. I made a choice that mattered. It almost got you killed. But it didn't. I'm still here. She met his eyes. So yeah, I'll help, but I need to know what that actually means. Adrian nodded like he'd expected this. Come with me. He led her through the corridors again, but this time down instead of up. They descended into the older parts of the warehouse, where the walls were exposed brick and the air smelled like oil and old concrete. Armed guards nodded as they passed. How many people worked here? How big was this operation? They stopped at a heavy steel door. Adrian pressed his palm to a scanner, and the lock clicked open. Inside was something between a war room and a library. One wall was covered in screens showing live feeds from across the city. Another held filing cabinets that looked like they belonged in a museum. The third wall was a massive corkboard covered in photos, documents, string connecting different elements like some detective movie cliché. Except this wasn't a movie. This was real. This is everything I know about Cassandra's operation, Adrian said. 18 months of her life. Everything she touched. Everyone she met. Every place she went. He gestured to the board. I've been trying to find the pattern. The thing she was really after. Elena moved closer, studying the photos. Cassandra at charity galas, Cassandra meeting with businessmen, Cassandra at Adrian's side in what looked like 100 different situations. She had access to everything. That was the point. Deep cover means total immersion. She wasn't pretending to be my fiancée. For all practical purposes, she was. Adrian pulled up a file on one of the screens. But there are gaps, times when I can't account for her. Meetings that don't make sense, and I need to know why. You think she was doing more than just gathering evidence? I think 18 months is a long time to dedicate to one case. The FBI doesn't invest that kind of time and resources unless the payoff is enormous. He turned to face her. I think she was after something specific, something worth more than just taking me down. Elena studied the board, her waitress instincts kicking in, looking for patterns, inconsistencies, the things that didn't fit. Show me her schedule, every place she went in the last month. Adrian pulled it up. Elena scanned the list, cross-referencing it with the photos on the board. Most of it made sense. Dinners, events, meetings that Adrian would naturally attend. But there were 3 entries that stood out. What's the Meridian Foundation? She asked. Charity? They fund medical research, scholarships, that kind of thing. Cassandra was on the board. And the Dover Street Gallery? Art. She dragged me there twice. I hate art galleries. Elena pointed to the 3rd entry. The Sterling Group. Adrian frowned. Financial consulting firm. We use them for some legitimate business interests. Why? Because she went to all 3 in the same week. Alone. No you, no social event, just her. Elena traced the dates with her finger, and she went back to the Sterling Group 4 times in the last month. Adrian moved closer, studying the screen. I authorized 2 meetings, not 4. So what was she doing at the other 2? They looked at each other, the same realization hitting them both. Whatever Cassandra had been after, it wasn't just about building a case against Adrian. She'd been working her own angle. Can you get into the Sterling Group's records? Elena asked. Not legally. Is there another way? Adrian smiled, and for the first time since the restaurant, it reached his eyes. I like how you think. He pulled out his phone and made a call. Marcus, I need you in the archive. Bring the Sterling Group files. While they waited, Elena continued studying the board. There was something almost sad about it. All these photos of Cassandra smiling, laughing, playing the role of the perfect fiancée. Had any of it been real, or had it all been performance? You feel sorry for her, Adrian said, watching her. I feel sorry for both of you. Marcus arrived with a stack of folders thick enough to be a weapon. He set them on the table and glanced between Adrian and Elena with obvious curiosity. This is Elena, Adrian said. She's helping us figure out what Cassandra was really doing. Marcus raised an eyebrow but said nothing. He was older than Adrian, maybe 50, with the kind of weathered face that suggested he'd seen too much and forgotten none of it. Sterling Group, Adrian said. What do we know? Consulting firm, like you said. They handle financial planning, investment strategy, corporate restructuring. Marcus flipped open one of the folders. We brought them in to help legitimize some of the business interests, make everything look clean for tax purposes. What, and who specifically did Cassandra meet with? Marcus checked his notes. David Sterling himself, the owner. Elena leaned over the folder. What did they talk about? According to the meeting notes, investment opportunities in overseas markets. Perfectly normal. Marcus paused. But if she was there 4 times and we only have notes for 2 meetings, then she was discussing something else, Elena finished. Something off the books. Adrian was already typing, pulling up information on David Sterling. The man looked like every financial consultant Elena had ever seen on TV. Expensive suit, practiced smile, the kind of bland handsomeness that made him forgettable. Run a deep background, Adrian told Marcus. Everything. Financial records, phone logs, travel history. I want to know if he's dirty. On it. Marcus left with the folders, moving with surprising speed for a man his size. Elena turned back to the board, something nagging at her. The Meridian Foundation. What kind of medical research do they fund? Adrian pulled up their website. Looks like mostly cancer research, rare diseases, that kind of thing. Cassandra said she wanted to be involved because... He stopped. Because why? Because her sister died of cancer when she was 16. Adrian's voice was flat. She told me that on our third date, showed me photos, cried. Was it true? I verified it myself. Rebecca Hale died at 23. Cassandra was devastated. He looked at Elena. What are you thinking? I'm thinking that's a hell of a detail for the FBI to include in a cover story. Personal trauma, real documentation, emotional weight. Elena chewed her lip. Unless it wasn't part of the cover story. Unless that was real. So what? She used her dead sister to get close to me? Or she used you to get close to something related to her dead sister? Elena pointed to the Foundation's website. Who runs the Meridian Foundation? Adrian scrolled down. The board of directors included several names Elena didn't recognize, but one jumped out. Dr. Sarah Chen. And in the description it mentioned her husband, FBI Special Agent Marcus Chen. Oh, shit, Elena breathed. Adrian went very still. Her handler's wife runs the foundation where Cassandra served on the board. That's not a coincidence. No, it's not. Adrian was already pulling up more information. Sarah Chen, MD, PhD, specializes in oncology research, has been running the Meridian Foundation for 8 years. He kept scrolling. And look at this. 3 months ago, the foundation received a $20 million anonymous donation, the largest in its history. Elena's mind raced. Could Cassandra have access to that kind of money? Not legally, but if she'd been skimming from my accounts, routing it through offshore channels. Adrian pulled up financial records, fingers flying across the keyboard. Here, look at this. A series of transfers small enough to avoid immediate notice, but adding up over 18 months to exactly $21 million. She stole from you, Elena said, and donated most of it to her handler's wife's foundation. Adrian leaned back, processing. Why? Maybe it was personal. Maybe the whole operation started because she wanted to fund cancer research and needed money to do it. Or maybe it was payment, Adrian said slowly. What if the Chens aren't running a legitimate operation? What if the foundation is a front for something else? They stared at each other, the implications spreading like cracks in glass. We need to know what that foundation is really doing, Elena said. Agreed. But if Marcus Chen is involved, we can't approach this directly. He'll know we're looking. Elena thought about it, pulling from years of watching people, reading situations. The Dover Street Gallery. She went there twice, both times after meeting with Sterling and before going to foundation events. You think they're connected? I think she had a routine. Sterling Group for financial stuff, the gallery for something else, then the foundation, like stops on a circuit. Elena met his eyes. What if the gallery is where she met with someone? Somewhere public enough to be safe, but private enough to talk? Adrian was nodding. Art galleries are perfect for dead drops and clandestine meetings. People standing around looking at paintings, having quiet conversations. No one pays attention. Can you get the gallery's security footage? Give me 20 minutes. While Adrian worked, Elena poured herself more coffee and tried to process everything. 24 hours ago, she'd been worried about making rent and whether Tommy needed new shoes for school. Now she was helping a criminal investigate FBI corruption and a possible fake charity. Her life had gone from zero to insane with no stops in between. Got it, Adrian said. He pulled up grainy security footage from the Dover Street Gallery, dated 3 weeks ago. This is Cassandra's first visit. They watched her enter alone, wearing a navy dress that probably cost more than Elena's monthly salary. She wandered through the gallery for about 10 minutes, looking at paintings with apparent interest. Then she stopped in front of a large abstract piece, and a man approached her. Freeze that, Elena said. Adrian paused the footage. The man was in his early 30s, expensive casual clothes, the kind of deliberately messy hair that took effort to achieve. He stood next to Cassandra but wasn't looking at her. Both of them appeared to be studying the painting. Classic brush pass technique, Adrian muttered. They're exchanging something. They watched the rest of the footage. The man walked away after about 30 seconds. Cassandra stayed for another 5 minutes, then left. No obvious interaction. If you weren't looking for it, you'd never notice. Who is he? Elena asked. Adrian zoomed in, ran the image through some kind of facial recognition software. It took a minute, then pinged with a result. James Whitmore, investment banker with Carlyle and Associates. Adrian pulled up more information. No criminal record, no obvious connections to law enforcement or organized crime. Looks completely clean. Too clean? Maybe. Adrian kept digging. Wait, look at this. He's listed as a consultant for the Sterling Group. Elena felt the pieces starting to click together. So Cassandra meets with Sterling, then meets with Sterling's consultant at the gallery, then goes to the foundation. It's a pipeline. But a pipeline for what? Before Elena could answer, alarms started blaring throughout the building. Adrian was on his feet instantly, hand moving to a gun Elena hadn't realized he was carrying. What's happening? She asked, pulse spiking. Adrian's phone lit up with messages. He read them quickly, face going hard. Someone just tried to breach our security perimeter. 3 teams, coordinated attack. Cassandra? Probably, or the FBI. Or both. He grabbed Elena's arm. Come on, we need to get you and Tommy to a secure location. They ran through the corridors, Elena struggling to keep up. Her feet still in the borrowed slippers she'd found in her room, slapped against concrete. Around them, Adrian's people moved with military precision, weapons drawn, heading toward predetermined positions. What about you? Elena gasped. I'll be fine. You're the target. They reached her room to find Tommy already awake, pressed against the wall with a lamp raised like a weapon. When he saw Elena, relief flooded his face. What the hell is going on? We need to move, Adrian said. Now. But before they could, the lights went out. Emergency lighting kicked in a second later, bathing everything in red. More alarms, shouting from somewhere below. They're inside, Adrian said, voice tight. He pulled out his phone, texted something quickly. Change of plans. We go up. Up? Tommy said. Isn't that the opposite of escaping? Roof access. We have a helicopter on standby for situations like this. Of course he did. They climbed narrow stairs, Adrian in front, Elena and Tommy behind him. The sounds of the attack grew louder. Gunfire, shouting, the crash of something heavy breaking. Elena's heart hammered so hard she thought it might crack her ribs. How did they find us? She asked. I don't know. We swept for trackers, changed vehicles 3 times, used every protocol. Adrian's jaw was tight. Either we have a leak or they're better than I thought. They reached a landing and Adrian held up a hand. Wait. He peered around the corner, then swore viciously. They're already on the roof. 4 of them, maybe more. So what do we do? Tommy's voice was high, scared. Adrian looked between them, calculating. Then he made a decision. There's a safe room. 3 floors down, hidden behind the archive. You can hold out there until we clear the building. What about you? I'm going to the roof. If I can get to the controls, I can lock it down, keep them from getting inside. He pulled a keycard from his pocket and pressed it into Elena's hand. Red door at the end of the east corridor. Use this. Don't open it for anyone except me or Marcus, understand? Adrian, go. Now. He was gone before Elena could argue, disappearing up the stairs toward the roof, toward the people with guns. Come on, Elena said, grabbing Tommy's hand. They retraced their path downward, moving as quietly as they could. The building had gone eerily quiet. No more alarms, no more shouting, just the occasional sound of movement somewhere in the distance. I don't like this, Tommy whispered. This feels wrong. Elena didn't like it either. It felt too quiet, too controlled, like someone was hurting them. They reached the east corridor. The red door was exactly where Adrian said it would be. Elena swiped the keycard, heard the lock click, pulled the door open. Inside was a woman pointing a gun directly at Elena's face. Hello, Elena, Cassandra Hale said, smiling. We need to talk. Elena froze. Every instinct screamed at her to run, but Cassandra's finger was on the trigger, and Tommy was right behind her, too close to risk sudden movement. How? Elena started. How did I know you'd come here? Because I know Adrian. I spent 18 months learning every thought in his head, every contingency plan, every escape route. Cassandra gestured with the gun. Inside, both of you. They stepped into the room. It was exactly what Adrian had described, a safe room. Reinforced walls, sealed door, enough supplies to last weeks. Also, apparently, a trap. Close the door, Cassandra said. Elena did. The lock engaged automatically. They were sealed in. Sit. Cassandra pointed to chairs against the wall. She looked different than she had at the restaurant. Harder. The perfect mask had cracked, revealing something sharp and cold underneath. I want you to understand something. I don't enjoy this. I don't take pleasure in scaring children or threatening waitresses. Could have fooled me, Tommy said, trying and failing to sound brave. Cassandra's eyes flicked to him. You're Tommy, right? 14 years old, B average, wants to be a programmer. Your sister worked herself to exhaustion to keep you fed and clothed after your mother died. She looked back at Elena. I did my research. Why? Elena asked. Why go through all this? If you wanted me dead, you could have just killed me. Because killing you doesn't solve my problem. You're a symptom, not the disease. Cassandra lowered the gun slightly, though she kept it ready. Adrian is going to come for you. When he does, I'll be waiting, and this time there won't be any warnings. No notes slipped under napkins. Just a clean end to a very complicated problem. You're using us as bait, Elena said. Yes. He'll know. He'll see the trap. Maybe, but he'll come anyway. Cassandra smiled, sad and certain. That's the difference between us. I can let people go. He can't. It's his greatest strength and his fatal weakness. Elena studied her, this woman who'd spent 18 months pretending to love someone while planning to destroy him. Was any of it real? You and Adrian? Cassandra's mask slipped for just a second, and Elena saw something raw underneath. Pain, maybe. Or regret. Does it matter? I think it does. To you. They sat in tense silence. Tommy pressed against Elena's side, trying not to shake. Cassandra checked her phone, typed something, then settled in to wait. The foundation, Elena said. Meridian. It's not just about cancer research, is it? Cassandra's eyes narrowed. You've been busy. $20 million is a lot of money to donate, especially money you stole. I didn't steal it. I reclaimed it. Adrian built his empire on blood and suffering. That money came from pain. I just redirected it to something useful. Your handler's wife's foundation. Sarah's foundation is legitimate. The work they do saves lives. But that's not all they do, Elena pressed, reading Cassandra's micro-expressions the way she'd learned to read difficult customers. There's something else, something you needed that much money for. Cassandra was quiet for a long moment. Then, my sister didn't just die of cancer. She died because she couldn't afford the experimental treatment that might have saved her, because insurance wouldn't cover it, because the drug companies priced it at $500,000 for a 3-month course. Her voice was flat, empty. She was 23 years old. She had a scholarship to medical school. She wanted to help people. I'm sorry, Elena said, and meant it. Sorry doesn't bring her back. Sorry doesn't fix a system where people die because they're poor. Cassandra met her eyes. The foundation is working on making those treatments affordable. Generic versions accessible to everyone, but that takes money. Lots of money. So you infiltrated Adrian's organization to steal enough to fund it. I infiltrated Adrian's organization to bring him down. The money was a bonus. Cassandra checked her phone again. But somewhere along the way, it got complicated. Because you fell for him. Because he turned out to be more than I expected. Better and worse at the same time. Cassandra laughed, bitter. You know what the real joke is? If he'd known what I was trying to do, the foundation, the research, helping people, he probably would have just given me the money. That's the kind of person he is. Complicated. Footsteps in the corridor outside. Cassandra stood smoothly, gun raised. He's here, she said. Right on time. The door's keypad beeped. Someone was entering the code. Elena's mind raced. This was it. Cassandra would kill Adrian the moment he walked through that door. Unless... Wait, Elena said. Before you do this, before you kill him, You should know something. Cassandra didn't lower the gun. What? The Sterling Group. James Whitmore. They're not just helping you move money. How do you... They're playing you, both of you. Elena stood slowly, hands visible. I think your handler is running his own operation. I think he's been using you to get to Adrian while skimming money for himself. And I think the foundation is just the cover story he sold you to make you feel like you were doing something good. Cassandra's expression flickered. Doubt, just for a second. The keypad beeped again. Wrong code. Someone was trying different combinations. You're lying, Cassandra said. Trying to save Adrian. I'm not. Look at the money trail. 20 million donated, but how much actually went to research? How much went through Sterling first? How much went to accounts you never saw? The keypad beeped a third time. Correct code. The lock disengaged. Cassandra turned toward the door, gun steady. It opened. But it wasn't Adrian who came through. It was Marcus Chen, FBI badge in one hand, gun in the other, and he was smiling. Well, he said, this is convenient. All three of my problems in one room. Cassandra's gun swung toward Chen, confusion and betrayal flashing across her face in equal measure. Marcus, what are you doing here? Cleaning up loose ends. Chen stepped fully into the room, keeping his own weapon trained on Cassandra. You were supposed to wait for my signal. Instead, you went rogue. Again. I'm securing the asset. You're compromising the entire operation. Chen's voice was cold, professional. Nothing like the concerned handler Elena had imagined. Lower your weapon, Cassandra. Not until you tell me what's going on. What's going on is that you've been a useful idiot for the past 18 months, and now your usefulness has expired. Chen's smile didn't waver. Did you really think this was about bringing down Adrian Vale? That the Bureau would invest 2 years and millions of dollars just to prosecute one mid-level crime boss? Elena watched Cassandra's face crumble as the truth hit her. The woman who'd spent a year and a half being perfect, being whoever she needed to be, suddenly looked lost. The foundation, Cassandra whispered. Sarah's research. You said... I said what you needed to hear. My wife runs a legitimate charity. Very touching, very noble. But the 20 million you stole? Maybe 2 million made it to actual research. The rest went through enough shell corporations to make it untraceable. Chen tilted his head. You wanted to save lives. I wanted retirement funds. We both got what we needed. Tommy made a small sound beside Elena. She grabbed his hand, squeezing hard. Stay quiet. Stay still. You used me, Cassandra said, and her voice had gone flat. Dead. I recruited you. There's a difference. Young agent, brilliant but damaged, sister dead from cancer, desperate to make meaning out of tragedy. You were perfect. Chen's gun never wavered. And you performed beautifully. Got close to Vale, mapped his entire operation, gave us everything we needed to either arrest him or replace him. Your choice which, really? Replace him, Elena heard herself say. Chen's eyes flicked to her briefly. The waitress. The one who ruined everything. He shook his head. If you'd just kept your mouth shut and served your tables, none of this would be necessary. Adrian would be dead. Cassandra would have delivered his network to me on a silver platter, and I'd be on a beach in the Maldives by summer. Instead, you're in a warehouse pointing a gun at a federal agent, Elena said. How's that going for you? Better than you'd think. See, Cassandra went rogue tonight. Unstable, emotionally compromised, killed Adrian Vale and 2 civilians during an unauthorized raid. Tragic. The Bureau will give her a nice funeral, and I'll write a very sad report about the dangers of deep cover work. Cassandra laughed. It sounded broken. You think you can kill a federal agent and walk away? I think I've been doing exactly that for 15 years. Chen gestured with his gun. Put yours down, now, or I start with the kid. The weapon swung toward Tommy. Cassandra hesitated for maybe half a second. Then she lowered her gun, set it on the floor, kicked it toward Chen. Smart girl, Chen said. He picked it up, tucked it into his belt. Now he had 3 guns. Elena's mind cataloged the information uselessly. 3 guns, 1 exit, 4 potential victims. The math wasn't good. Where's Adrian? Chen asked. Roof, Cassandra said. Dealing with your team. My team is dead. Adrian's people were waiting for them. Very well-coordinated defense, Chen smiled. He's better than I gave him credit for, which is why I'm here personally. Can't trust contractors for everything. A burst of static from Chen's radio. A voice crackled through. Sir, we've secured the main floor. No sign of Vale. Chen keyed the radio. Copy that. Maintain positions. He'll come to us. He looked at Cassandra. You were right about one thing. He can't help himself. He'll try to save them, even knowing it's a trap. You don't know him like I do, Cassandra said quietly. No, but I know men, and men like Adrian Vale don't abandon people. It's not in their nature. Chen checked his watch. We give him 5 minutes. If he doesn't show, I shoot the kid, then the waitress, then you, and I burn this whole building down with him inside. Elena's mind raced through possibilities, discarding them as fast as they formed. Rush him? He'd shoot before she took 2 steps. Scream for help? The room was soundproof. Wait for Adrian? That's exactly what Chen wanted. Can I ask a question? Elena said. Chen raised an eyebrow. Why not? We're killing time. The Sterling Group, James Whitmore, how do they fit into this? You have been busy. Chen looked almost impressed. Sterling handles the money laundering. Whitmore facilitates the transfers. They both get a percentage, simple business arrangement. And when Cassandra figures out how much you've been stealing, what happens to them? Already handled, Whitmore's body is in the East River. Sterling will join him tomorrow. Chen shrugged. Loose ends, remember? Cassandra was staring at him like she'd never seen him before. You killed your own partner. Whitmore wasn't my partner. He was a contractor, and he was getting greedy, starting to think he deserved a bigger cut. Chen's smile turned cold. People forget that money only has value if you're alive to spend it. Is that what this is about? Elena asked. Just money? You destroyed her life for retirement funds? I gave her a purpose, direction. She was floundering before I recruited her. No focus, no drive, just anger and grief with nowhere to put it. Chen looked at Cassandra. I made you into something. You should be grateful. I should put a bullet in your head, Cassandra said. But you won't, because you still think you're one of the good guys. That's always been your weakness. You believe in things. Honor, justice, saving the world. Chen laughed. The world doesn't want to be saved. It wants to be exploited. And the people who figure that out first are the ones who win. The radio crackled again. Different voice this time. Urgent. Sir, we have movement on the 4th floor. Someone's coming down the east stairwell. Chen keyed the response. Let him come. Weapons ready, but hold fire until my signal. He turned back to his captives. Showtime. Elena felt Tommy trembling beside her. She wanted to tell him it would be okay, but the lie stuck in her throat. Nothing about this was okay. He won't come alone, Cassandra said. Adrian's too smart for that. Then more people die. I'm flexible. Chen positioned himself behind Cassandra, gun to her head. But I'm betting he values you more than you think. 18 months is a long time. Some of those feelings were probably real. They weren't. I made sure of it. Did you? Chen's smile was knowing. Or did you just tell yourself that because admitting the truth would make you weak? Cassandra didn't answer, but Elena saw something flicker across her face. Doubt, maybe. Or regret. Footsteps in the corridor outside. Slow, deliberate, not trying to hide. Elena? Adrian's voice muffled by the door. I know you're in there. I'm coming in. Don't shoot. Chen pressed the gun harder against Cassandra's temple. Tell him to come in unarmed, hands visible. Cassandra's jaw tightened. For a moment, Elena thought she might refuse. Then, he wants you unarmed, hands where he can see them. A pause. Then Adrian's voice again. Who's he? Agent Chen, Cassandra said, and her voice cracked on the name. He's here. He's been running his own operation. Everything I told you, everything I thought I was doing, it was all a lie. Silence from the corridor. Chen's finger tightened on the trigger. Tell him to come in, now, or I paint the walls with your brain. Adrian, don't! Cassandra started. The door exploded inward. Not kicked, not shot. Exploded. Someone had rigged charges on the hinges, and the blast threw the entire door into the room like a rectangular missile. Chen dove left, Cassandra right. Elena grabbed Tommy and dropped. covering him with her body as the door crashed where they'd been standing a second earlier. Smoke and chaos. Ringing ears. Tommy struggling beneath her, saying something she couldn't hear. Gunfire. Sharp cracks that hurt even through the ringing. Elena looked up through the smoke to see Adrian in the doorway, flanked by two of his men. They were firing, controlled bursts, driving Chen back. But Chen was good. He'd already rolled behind the overturned door, using it as cover, returning fire with precision that spoke of serious training. One of Adrian's men went down, blood blooming on his shoulder. The other dragged him back into the corridor. "Elena, move!" Adrian's voice cut through the chaos. She grabbed Tommy and ran, half dragging him toward the door. Bullets punched holes in the wall above their heads, showering them with concrete dust. They made it to the corridor, and Adrian shoved them toward his remaining man. "Get them out! Use the service tunnels!" "What about you?" Elena shouted. "I'm ending this." He disappeared back into the smoke, and Elena heard more gunfire, the sound of bodies hitting walls, a scream that could have been anyone. The man, Marcus, Adrian's Marcus, not the FBI one, pulled her and Tommy down the corridor at a run. "This way. Stay close." "We can't just leave him. He gave me an order. I follow orders." Marcus's voice was hard but not unkind. "He'll be fine. He survived worse." They ran through corridors Elena didn't recognize, down stairs that seemed to go on forever, through a door hidden behind a false wall panel. The service tunnels were exactly what they sounded like. Narrow concrete passages lined with pipes and cables, dimly lit by emergency lights. "Where do these go?" Tommy asked, voice shaking. "Anywhere we need them to." Marcus kept moving, gun drawn, checking corners with practiced efficiency. "The whole district is connected underground. Old infrastructure from when this was all factories. Boss made sure we had access." Behind them, muffled by distance and concrete, Elena heard more gunfire. A small explosion. She tried not to think about what was happening back there, whether Adrian was winning or dying, whether Cassandra had survived the blast, whether any of them would make it out of this alive. They emerged in what looked like a subway maintenance area, abandoned and covered in graffiti. Marcus led them up a ladder through a manhole cover, into an alley somewhere in the industrial district. The rain had stopped, but the streets were still wet, reflecting streetlights like scattered stars. A car was waiting. Black sedan, engine running. The driver's window rolled down, and a woman Elena didn't recognize leaned out. "They secure?" "For now. Chen's still in the building." "Adrian?" "Handling it." The woman nodded and gestured to the back seat. "Get in. We're going to the secondary location." Elena and Tommy climbed in. The interior smelled like leather and coffee. The woman drove with the kind of calm focus that suggested this wasn't her first emergency extraction. "Who are you?" Elena asked. "Sarah. I handle logistics." The woman glanced at them in the rearview mirror. "You're the waitress who saved the boss. Heard a lot about you." "None of it good, I bet." "Actually, all of it good. Takes guts to do what you did." Sarah turned onto a main street, blending into late-night traffic. "Takes brains, too. Most people would have looked the other way." Tommy was staring out the window, face pale. Elena put an arm around him, and he leaned into her without protest. He was trying so hard to be tough, but he was still just a kid. Her kid, in all the ways that mattered. "Where are we going?" she asked. "Safe house in Queens? Different network, different security protocols. Even if Chen compromises the warehouse, he won't find you there." "What about Adrian?" "He'll meet us when he can." Sarah's tone suggested she had complete faith in this statement. "In the meantime, you sit tight and stay alive." They drove in silence for a while. The city passed by outside, oblivious to the violence happening in its forgotten corners. People going to late shifts, coming home from bars, living their normal lives. Elena had been one of them 24 hours ago. Now she felt like she was looking at a different world through bulletproof glass. Her phone, she didn't have her phone. It had been taken at the warehouse for security. No way to call anyone, no way to check if people she knew were okay. Not that she had many people to call. Her life had been small by design. Work, Tommy. A few casual friends she never saw outside Vesper House. It had been safe, manageable, boring. She hated herself a little for thinking it, but some part of her had come alive in the past day. The fear, The danger, the feeling of actually mattering in a situation instead of just being invisible furniture. She'd spent 6 years trying to be unnoticed, and in one night she'd become the center of a conspiracy that reached from street-level crime to federal law enforcement. "You okay?" Tommy asked quietly. "No, you?" "No." He managed a weak smile. "But we're alive. That's something." "That's everything," Elena corrected. The safe house was an apartment above a dry cleaner in a quiet neighborhood where nothing interesting ever happened. 3 bedrooms, outdated furniture, windows that had been reinforced with something that looked like regular glass but probably wasn't. Sarah showed them around quickly. Food in the kitchen, clothes in the closets. There's a panic room behind the bathroom mirror if something goes wrong. Press the 3rd tile from the left, the whole wall swings open. "Has something ever gone wrong here?" Tommy asked. "Not yet. Let's keep the streak going." Sarah checked her phone. "I'm staying with you until we get word. Try to get some sleep. It's going to be a long day tomorrow." Sleep seemed impossible, but exhaustion was a physical weight. Elena found herself lying on a lumpy couch while Tommy sprawled in one of the bedrooms, and somehow, despite everything, she drifted off. She woke to voices in the kitchen. Sunlight streamed through the windows, morning already, though she'd barely slept. Her body ached like she'd been hit by a truck. 3 dead, 2 wounded. Chen escaped. Sarah's voice, tense. And Cassandra? Adrian's voice. He was alive. Elena felt relief wash through her so intensely it was almost painful. Gone. "We think she went with Chen, but we're not sure. Could be she ran on her own." Elena sat up, and both of them turned to look at her. Adrian looked like hell. Bruised jaw, blood on his shirt sleeve, exhaustion written in every line of his face. But he was standing, moving, alive. "You made it," Elena said stupidly. "So did you." Adrian moved to sit in a chair across from her, wincing slightly. Chen had a second team waiting. "We took them down, but it got messy. He slipped out during the chaos." "And Cassandra?" "I don't know. Last I saw, she was heading for the east exit. Could have gone either way, with Chen or away from him." Adrian ran a hand through his hair. "She looked broken. I've never seen her like that." "Her entire world just imploded," Elena said. "Everything she thought she was doing, everyone she thought she was working for, all lies." "Yeah." Adrian's expression was complicated. Angry, hurt, something that might have been sympathy. "Part of me wants to hunt her down. Part of me wants to just let her go. Which part's going to win? Haven't decided yet." Sarah brought coffee, and Elena accepted it gratefully. The caffeine hit her system like a jump start. "What's the plan now?" "Chen's still out there. He knows about you, about Tommy, about everyone who helped last night. He's going to come after all of us until we're dead, or he is." Adrian sipped his own coffee, staring at nothing. "Which means we need to find him first." "How?" "He's FBI. He has resources, connections, probably a dozen places he can hide." "True, but he also has a weakness." Adrian looked at her directly. "He wants his money, 20 million. Most of it's still sitting in accounts he can't access without the right codes and transfers. Sterling's dead, Whitmore's dead, Cassandra's in the wind. That money is stuck." "So we use it as bait," Elena said, seeing where he was going. "Exactly. We make him think we have access to the accounts. That we're willing to trade. He comes to collect, and we're waiting." "That's a terrible plan," Sarah said flatly. "You have a better one?" "Not really, but I wanted it on record that this is a terrible plan." Adrian smiled faintly. "Noted." He turned back to Elena. "I need you to do something for me. Something dangerous." "Of course you do. Chen knows you're the one who figured out the Sterling Group connection. He'll believe you've been digging deeper, that you found the account information. If you reach out to him, offer to trade, he'll know it's a trap." "Maybe. But he's also greedy and desperate. 18 months of work, millions of dollars, all of it on the verge of disappearing. He might take the risk." Elena thought about it. About Chen's cold smile, his casual talk of killing people, the way he'd held a gun to Cassandra's head without a flicker of conscience. "How do I contact him?" "We have a number, burner phone he gave Cassandra for emergencies. It might still be active. And if he just shoots me the second we meet, you'll be wearing a wire, armed backup in every direction. First sign of trouble, we move. Adrian's voice was steady, but Elena could see the tension in his shoulders. I won't lie to you, it's dangerous, but it might be our only shot at ending this. Tommy appeared in the doorway, rubbing sleep from his eyes. Are we seriously discussing using my sister as bait? Yes, Adrian said. Just checking. Tommy looked at Elena. You're going to do it anyway, aren't you? Probably. Then I want to help. Absolutely not, Elena and Adrian said in unison. I'm not a kid. You're 14, Elena interrupted, and you're staying here where it's safe. Nowhere's safe. You said so yourself. Tommy's voice cracked slightly. If you're going to risk your life, I should at least... No. Elena stood, moved to him, grabbed his shoulders. Listen to me. You are the only thing in this world that matters to me. The only reason I'm doing any of this is to keep you safe. So you're going to stay here with Sarah, and you're going to trust me to handle this. Understand? Tommy's eyes were wet, but he nodded. Elena pulled him into a hug, holding on longer than necessary. When had he gotten so tall? When had he stopped being the little kid who needed her to check for monsters under the bed? I'll be careful, she promised. You better be. I'm not dealing with Aunt Carol if you die. It surprised a laugh out of her. Fair enough. They spent the morning planning. Adrian had access to equipment that made Elena's head spin, listening devices the size of pinheads, trackers that could be sewn into clothing, guns that looked like pens. Sarah produced a phone with a single number programmed into it. When you're ready, she said. Elena stared at the phone. One call, one conversation, one chance to either end this or get herself killed. She pressed dial. It rang twice before Chen answered. I was wondering when you'd call. We need to talk, Elena said, forcing her voice steady. About? About $20 million you can't touch. About how I found the account numbers and transfer codes. And about how we can both walk away from this if you're willing to deal. Silence on the other end. Long enough that Elena thought he might have hung up. Then, you have my attention? Good. Because I'm only saying this once. You meet me, alone, neutral location. I give you everything I found, accounts, codes, all of it. You disappear, and you never come after me or my brother again. And Adrian? He doesn't know I'm calling. This is between us. Another pause. Chen was thinking, weighing options. Why would you betray him? Because I'm not part of his world. I never wanted to be. I just want my life back. Elena let some real desperation creep into her voice. It wasn't hard. I don't care about your war with Adrian. I don't care about Cassandra or the FBI or any of it. I just want out. Touching. Where and when? Tomorrow night. The old ferry terminal at Red Hook, 11 p.m. Public enough to be safe, abandoned enough for privacy. Smart. Chen's voice held approval. But I'm not stupid. If this is a trap, then you shoot me and vanish. You lose nothing by showing up. Elena swallowed. But if I'm telling the truth, you get your money and I get my life. Everybody wins. Nobody wins, Elena. Some people just lose less than others. A pause. I'll be there. Come alone. If I see Adrian or any of his people, I start shooting and don't stop until everyone's dead. The line went dead. Elena set down the phone, hands shaking. You did good, Adrian said. He'd been listening on speaker. Very convincing. I wasn't entirely acting. Part of me does just want out. I know. After this, if you want to walk away, I won't stop you. Elena looked at him, this man she'd known for barely a day, who dragged her into a world of violence and lies and impossible choices. Do you mean that? Yes. You didn't ask for any of this. You saved my life, and I've done nothing but put yours in danger since. Adrian met her eyes. You helped me finish this, and I'll give you a new identity, money to start over, protection until Chen's taken care of. You and Tommy can disappear. Build a new life somewhere safe. It was everything she should want. Safety, anonymity, a chance to go back to being invisible. So why did the thought of it feel hollow? Let's just get through tomorrow night first, she said. The next 24 hours crawled by. Elena tried to eat, tried to sleep, tried to think about anything other than the meeting. Tommy stayed close, alternating between worried silence and forced cheerfulness that broke her heart. Adrian's people prepared. They scouted the ferry terminal, set up positions, planned contingencies for every possible scenario. Sarah gave Elena a crash course in self-defense that mostly involved running away and hitting people in the throat. If he gets close enough to grab you, Sarah said, you're already in trouble. Don't try to be a hero, just survive long enough for us to reach you. Great advice. Super reassuring. The night of the meeting, Elena dressed in dark clothes that Sarah provided, jeans, jacket, boots that didn't slip on wet surfaces. The wire was a small miracle of technology, barely noticeable once it was attached. Sarah also gave her a small pistol. Do you know how to use this? She asked. Point the shooty end away from myself? Close enough. Safety's here. Pull the trigger. It shoots. 12 rounds. Don't waste them. Elena tucked the gun into her jacket pocket, feeling its weight like a promise of violence. She'd never shot anyone. Wasn't sure she could if it came down to it. Guess she'd find out. The drive to Red Hook felt like a funeral procession. Adrian rode with her, silent and tense. When they got close to the terminal, he spoke for the first time in miles. You can still back out. We'll find another way. No, we won't. This is the play. Elena looked at him. Tell me the truth. Do you think he'll actually show up? Yes. He needs that money too badly. It's his entire exit strategy. And do you think he'll let me walk away after? Adrian was quiet. That's what I thought, Elena said. They stopped 3 blocks from the terminal. Adrian's team was already in position, rooftops, vehicles, hidden in shadows. Elena had an earpiece that would let her hear them, but she couldn't respond without giving herself away. We'll be watching every second, Adrian said. First sign he's going to shoot, we take him down. And if you're not fast enough, then I'll feel terrible at your funeral. Elena surprised herself by laughing. You have a really messed up sense of humor. Goes with the territory. Adrian hesitated, then, for what it's worth, I'm sorry about all of this. You deserved better than getting dragged into my disaster. Yeah, well, life's not big on giving people what they deserve. Elena opened the car door. See you on the other side. She walked the final 3 blocks alone. The ferry terminal loomed ahead, a decaying monument to better days. Broken windows, graffiti-covered walls, the smell of salt water and rust. The perfect place for a midnight meeting between a waitress and a corrupt FBI agent. Elena stepped through the broken gate, her footsteps echoing on cracked pavement. I'm here, she said quietly, knowing Adrian's team could hear her. We see you, a voice responded in her earpiece. Chen's already inside, northwest corner, 2nd floor. He brought 2 men. We're tracking them. Elena's heart kicked into overdrive. So much for coming alone. She walked into the main building, every sense screaming danger. Broken glass crunched under her boots. Somewhere, water dripped with rhythmic persistence. Elena, Chen's voice drifted down from above. 2nd floor. Come up slowly. She climbed the stairs, each step feeling like a mile. At the top, Chen stood silhouetted against a broken window, city lights behind him. He held a gun, but it was pointed at the floor. His 2 men flanked him, weapons ready. You came alone after all, Chen said. I'm impressed. I'm here to make a deal, not start a war. Elena stopped 10 feet away, close enough to talk, far enough to maybe dodge if he shot at her. Did you bring a phone, something to confirm the transfer? Chen pulled out a sleek device. Account numbers first. Elena had them memorized, fake accounts Adrian had set up to look legitimate, with just enough money moved into them to seem real if Chen didn't dig too deep. She rattled off the numbers, watched Chen enter them into his phone. He frowned. This is only showing 12 million. The rest is in secondary accounts. I didn't think you wanted everything in one place. Too easy to freeze. Chen's eyes narrowed. Transfer codes. Once I have your word, you'll leave me and my brother alone. You have it. That doesn't mean much, coming from you. No, I suppose it doesn't. Chen smiled. But it's all you're getting. Codes. Now. Elena started reciting the fake codes. In her ear, Adrian's voice. Teams in position. On your signal. Chen was still entering the codes when Cassandra stepped out of the shadows behind him. She looked like she'd been through hell. Bruised face, torn clothes, haunted eyes, and she was holding a gun pointed directly at Chen's back. Hello, Marcus, she said quietly. Chen went very still. Cassandra? I was wondering if you'd show up. Seemed appropriate. One last reunion of the team. Cassandra's voice was empty, scraped clean of emotion. Did you really think I'd run? That I'd just disappear and let you win? I thought you'd be smart. Apparently I overestimated you. Chen still hadn't turned around. If you're going to shoot me, get it over with. I'm not going to shoot you. Cassandra's smile was terrible. I'm going to make sure everyone knows exactly what you did. Every lie, every theft, every person you destroyed. I'm going to burn your entire life to the ground. With what evidence? Your word against mine? Chen laughed. You're a rogue agent who fell in love with her target and lost her mind. I'm a decorated agent with 15 years of exemplary service. Who do you think they'll believe? They'll believe this. Cassandra held up her phone. On the screen, Elena could see a video paused mid-frame. Chen's face clear as day. I recorded everything, Cassandra said. Every meeting, every phone call, every time you gave me instructions. 18 months of you telling me to lie, to steal, to manipulate. It's all there. Chen's expression finally cracked. You're bluffing. Want to bet your career on it? Cassandra's finger moved to the screen. One touch, and this goes to every news outlet in the city. Federal agent running illegal operations, stealing millions, framing his own people. You'll be famous. Just not the way you wanted. If you do that, you go down too. I know, but I don't care anymore. Cassandra's voice broke. You used me. Used my dead sister's memory to manipulate me into becoming your puppet. I don't get to come back from that. The person I thought I was, she's gone. So yeah, I burn. But I'm taking you with me. Elena watched Chen calculate his options. She could see it happening behind his eyes, weighing escape versus attack, surrender versus all-out war. He chose war. Chen spun, gun coming up. Cassandra fired first. The shot caught him in the shoulder, spinning him sideways. His men opened fire. Elena dropped, scrambling behind a fallen beam as bullets chewed through the air where she'd been standing. Go, go, go! Adrian's voice in her ear. The night exploded with gunfire. Adrian's team poured in from every entrance, tactical lights cutting through the darkness. Chen's men went down in seconds. Clean shots, professional work. But Chen was already moving, wounded shoulder and all, heading for the far stairwell. Cassandra ran after him, and Elena found herself running too, not thinking, just moving. They crashed through a doorway onto an exterior fire escape. Chen was halfway down when Cassandra caught up. She tackled him, both of them smashing into the metal railing hard enough to bend it. Elena reached them as Chen got a hand on Cassandra's throat. They struggled, neither with a clear advantage, both wounded and exhausted and beyond reason. Stop, Elena shouted. It's over. You can't... Chen's gun came up, pointed at Elena's face. Time slowed. She saw his finger tighten on the trigger, saw Cassandra's eyes go wide, saw the flash from the barrel. The bullet punched through the air an inch from Elena's head, so close she felt the heat of it. Then Cassandra's hand closed on the gun, forcing it down. A second shot buried itself in the fire escape. Chen and Cassandra fought for control of the weapon, grappling in deadly silence. The gun went off a third time. Chen's expression went slack. He looked down at the blood spreading across his chest, then back up at Cassandra. You actually did it, he said, sounding almost impressed. Then he fell backward over the railing. The drop was only 15 feet, but he hit the concrete wrong. Elena heard the crack even from the fire escape. Sirens in the distance, getting closer. Adrian appeared at Elena's side, breathing hard. We need to go, now. Cassandra stood frozen, staring down at Chen's broken body. I killed him, she whispered. He was going to kill all of us, Adrian said. Come on. But Cassandra shook her head. No, I'm done running. She looked at Adrian, and Elena saw something pass between them. Regret, maybe. Or goodbye. I'm going to turn myself in. Give them the recordings, the evidence, everything. Let them sort it out. Cassandra, it's over, Adrian. All of it. She smiled sadly. I'm sorry for what I did to you, for what I almost did. If I could take it back. But you can't, Adrian said quietly. No, I can't. The sirens were getting closer. Adrian grabbed Elena's hand. We're out of time. They ran, leaving Cassandra standing on the fire escape waiting for the police to arrive. The last thing Elena saw before they disappeared into the shadows was her expression, peaceful, almost relieved, like she'd finally stopped pretending to be someone she wasn't. The car was waiting where they'd left it. Sarah drove like she was fleeing the devil, weaving through streets until they were miles away. Elena sat in the back seat, shaking, adrenaline crash hitting hard. "Is he dead?" she asked. "Chen?" "Probably," Adrian said. "If not, he will be soon. That was a bad fall." And Cassandra? She made her choice. They drove in silence for a while. Eventually Sarah spoke. "So what now?" "Good question. What came next, when the dust settled and the bodies were counted?" Elena thought about her old life, her apartment, her job at Vesper House. All of it felt like it belonged to someone else now. "Now," Adrian said, "we rebuild, and we figure out who else in Chen's network needs to be dealt with." He looked at Elena. "Unless you want out, that offer still stands." Elena thought about it, really thought about it. She could take a new identity, disappear with Tommy, start over somewhere safe and boring, go back to being invisible. Or she could stay. Learn this new world, become someone who changed outcomes instead of just watching them happen. "I'll think about it," she said finally. It was the best answer she had. The news hit the morning broadcast before Elena had even finished her first coffee. She stood in the safe house kitchen, watching the screen with a numb kind of fascination as reporters scrambled to piece together what had happened at the Red Hook ferry terminal. Federal agent Marcus Chen, a decorated 15-year veteran of the FBI, was found dead at the scene. Authorities are also questioning Agent Cassandra Hale, who surrendered to police and is reportedly cooperating with investigators. Sources suggest Chen may have been involved in illegal financial activities, though details remain unclear at this time. The anchor's face was professionally grave. The FBI has released a statement saying they are conducting a full internal investigation. Meanwhile, business consultant David Sterling was found dead in his home late last night in what police are calling a suspected suicide, though sources close to the investigation suggest foul play may be involved. "They're cleaning house," Sarah said from the doorway. She'd been up all night coordinating damage control with Adrian's team. Sterling's death wasn't suicide. Chen's people got to him before we could. Probably figured he'd talk if we brought him in. "How many more are there?" Elena asked. "People working with Chen?" "We're still figuring that out. He had a network. Small, but deep. Agents who looked the other way, contractors who handled dirty work, financial people who moved the money." Sarah poured herself coffee, added enough cream to turn it beige. "Adrian's going through everything Cassandra recorded. It's going to take time." Tommy shuffled into the kitchen, still wearing the clothes he'd slept in. His hair stuck up at odd angles. "Is it over? Can we go home?" The question hung in the air. Home. Their apartment on Colton Street that was probably still under surveillance, probably still contaminated with the assumption that Elena was a criminal accomplice. Going back there would be like painting a target on their backs. "Not yet," Elena said gently. "We need to stay here a little longer, just to be safe." "How much longer?" "I don't know." Tommy's face closed off in that teenage way that meant he was upset but didn't want to show it. "I need to get my stuff from school. My homework's due, and I have a test on Friday." "I'll arrange for someone to pick up your things," Sarah offered, "and we can get you online access to your classes. You won't fall behind." "That's not the point," Tommy's voice cracked. "The point is, we can't go home. We can't go back to our lives. We're just stuck here, waiting for someone to decide it's safe, and maybe it never will be." He was right. Elena knew he was right. But what could she say? That everything would be fine when she had no idea if that was true? "I'm going back to bed," Tommy muttered, and disappeared before Elena could respond. "He's scared," Sarah said quietly. "Yeah, me too." Adrian appeared around noon, looking like he'd aged a decade overnight. He carried a laptop and a thick folder stuffed with documents. His jaw was shadowed with stubble, and there were dark circles under his eyes that made him look almost human. "We need to talk," he said without preamble. They gathered in what passed for a living room. Elena, Adrian, Sarah, and Marcus, the logistics guy. Adrian set up the laptop, pulled up files that made Elena's head hurt just looking at them. Spreadsheets, bank records, audio files, surveillance photos. This is everything Cassandra gave us, Adrian said. 18 months of evidence against Chen and his network. It's comprehensive, damning, and completely inadmissible in any court. Why? Elena asked. Because she obtained most of it illegally. Wiretaps without warrants, hacked financial records, surveillance that violated about 12 different federal statutes. Adrian rubbed his eyes. The FBI won't be able to use it for prosecution, but we can use it to figure out who else is dirty. He pulled up a document. Names, positions, connections mapped out in a web that looked like a conspiracy theorist's fever dream. Chen had at least 8 other agents working with him. Some knew the full scope of the operation. Others just looked the other way when convenient. Then there's the civilian side. Accountants, lawyers, consultants. People who moved money and didn't ask questions. Adrian pointed to specific names. These 3 are the priority threats. They know about you, they have resources, and they're probably scrambling to cover their tracks right now. Elena studied the names. Daniel Reeves, FBI Financial Crimes. Jennifer Park, Assistant District Attorney. Michael Torres, Private Security Contractor. What are they going to do? She asked. Depends. Best case, they go to ground and hope the investigation doesn't reach them. Worst case, they decide you're a loose end and try to tie you off permanently. So we're back to hiding. Or we go on a fence. Adrian pulled up another file. Cassandra's recordings include conversations with all 3 of them. If we leak the right information to the right people, we can force them into the open, make them react instead of plan. That sounds dangerous, Sarah said. Everything's dangerous at this point. The question is whether we want to wait for them to come after us or make them come after us on our terms. Elena thought about it, about spending weeks or months in hiding, never knowing when someone might find them, about Tommy's frustration and fear, about her own life suspended in amber, waiting. What would going on a fence look like? She asked. Adrian smiled, tired but genuine. I'm glad you asked. The plan was simple in concept, complicated in execution. They would leak portions of Cassandra's evidence to carefully selected journalists and law enforcement officials who weren't compromised. Create enough noise that Reeves, Park, and Torres would have to respond. Force them to make mistakes, reveal themselves, give Adrian's people clear targets. We're basically painting targets on our own backs, Marcus pointed out. We already have targets on our backs, Adrian countered. This way, at least we know where the shots are coming from. Elena spent the afternoon learning faces and names. Reeves looked like someone's disappointed father. Gray hair, permanent frown, the kind of bland respectability that made you trust him automatically. Park was younger, sharper, with the kind of ambition that radiated from her official photos. Torres had the dead eyes of someone who'd seen violence up close and learned to enjoy it. He's the most dangerous, Adrian said, tapping Torres's photo. Military background, private security work, probably killed more people than he can remember. If any of them comes after you directly, it'll be him. Great. That's comforting. I'm not trying to comfort you, I'm trying to keep you alive. Adrian's voice was flat, honest. Torres is good at what he does, which means we need to be better. Sarah set up Elena with self-defense training that afternoon. Nothing fancy, just practical skills that might buy her a few seconds if things went bad. How to break a grip, where to hit to cause maximum pain, how to use everyday objects as weapons. Keys between the fingers is actually terrible advice, Sarah said, demonstrating. You'll just hurt your own hand. Better to hold them in your fist like this. Use them to add weight to a punch. Elena tried it, felt the solid heft of metal against her knuckles. Does this actually work? Against a trained fighter? No. Against someone who doesn't expect you to fight back? Maybe. Sarah adjusted Elena's stance. The goal isn't to win. It's to create an opening and run. You're not a fighter, Elena. Don't try to be one. They practiced for an hour until Elena's shoulders ached and her knuckles were sore. It felt simultaneously useful and completely inadequate, like learning to paddle when what she really needed was a boat. Tommy emerged from his room around dinner time, still sullen but willing to eat the takeout Sarah had ordered. They sat around the table in awkward silence, pretending this was normal. Just a regular family dinner, not 4 people hiding from corrupt federal agents and hired killers. Can I ask something? Tommy said finally. Sure, Elena said. When this is over, If it's ever over, what happens to us? Elena glanced at Adrian, who was studiously focused on his food. I don't know yet. Are we going to keep hiding, get new names, move somewhere else, pretend to be different people? Maybe. Though, I don't want to be a different person. I don't want a new name, like Tommy's voice was getting louder. I want to go to my school and see my friends and sleep in my own bed. I want my life back. I know that, no, you don't know. You're the one who got us into this. You and your stupid hero complex, always having to help people, always having to stick your nose in. Tommy was standing now, voice cracking. We were fine before, we had a life. And you threw it away for some criminal you didn't even know. The words hit like fists. Elena felt her throat close, tears burning behind her eyes. Tommy, Sarah started. Don't. Tommy turned on her. You're all acting like this is normal, like it's okay that we're hiding and people are trying to kill us, but it's not okay. It's insane. He stormed back to his room, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the walls. Elena sat frozen, staring at her half-eaten food. He doesn't mean it, Sarah said quietly. Yes, he does. Elena's voice was hollow. And he's right. I did get us into this. I made a choice, and he has to live with the consequences. Adrian set down his fork. You saved my life. That's not nothing. It's not worth my brother's life. It's not worth his future. Elena stood, suddenly unable to sit still. I need air. She went to the window, reinforced, Sarah had said, but it still looked like a normal window. Outside, the neighborhood went about its evening. People walking dogs, kids playing basketball under streetlights, couples heading out for dinner. Normal lives, untouched by violence and conspiracy. Adrian joined her after a moment. They stood in silence, watching the world outside the bulletproof glass. I can still get you out, he said finally. New identities, money, protection. You and Tommy could disappear. Start fresh somewhere. Chen's network will never find you. And you? What happens to you? I finish this. Clean up the mess. Make sure everyone who worked with Chen knows there are consequences. Alone. I've been alone before. Elena looked at him, really looked at him, saw the exhaustion, the weight of responsibility, the loneliness that came from living in a world where everyone was either an asset or a threat. That sounds terrible. It is, but it's also safe for everyone else. Is that why you do this? Keep everyone at arm's length? Make sure you're the only one at risk? Adrian was quiet for a long moment. After a while, you forget how to do anything else. You forget what it's like to trust someone without calculating the risk, to care about someone without planning for the moment they betray you. He looked at her. Cassandra was supposed to be different. I actually thought... He stopped, shook his head. Doesn't matter what I thought. It matters to you. Yeah, and that's the problem. They stood in comfortable silence. Outside, a couple walked past holding hands, laughing about something. Elena felt a pang of envy so sharp it hurt. I don't know what I want, she admitted. Part of me wants to run, take Tommy and disappear and never think about any of this again. But another part... She struggled to find words. Another part of me feels alive for the first time in years, like I'm actually doing something that matters instead of just surviving day to day. That's the adrenaline talking. Is it? Or is it the truth I've been avoiding? Elena turned to face him. I've spent 6 years being invisible, being safe, being small. And maybe that worked when it was just me. But Tommy's growing up. He needs more than just survival. He needs a life worth living. And you think staying in this world gives him that? I think running doesn't. Not really. Elena pressed her hand against the glass, felt the cold of it. If we run, we're always going to be running. New city, new names, always looking over our shoulders. That's not a life either. So what's the alternative? Elena didn't have an answer, not yet. The leaked evidence hit the news cycle 2 days later. Carefully curated excerpts from Cassandra's recordings, enough to raise serious questions without revealing everything. The reporters ran with it, digging into Chen's background, his connections, the suspicious timing of Sterling's death. By evening, the FBI had announced a full investigation into Chen's activities and anyone associated with him. Reeves, Park, and Torres were all named in the preliminary inquiries. They're in the wind, Marcus reported, checking his monitoring software. Reeves withdrew $100,000 in cash this morning and hasn't been seen since. Park's attorney released a statement denying everything, but she's not at her office or her apartment. Torres is ghost. So we wait for them to make a move, Adrian said. Or we don't wait, Elena said. Everyone turned to look at her. What are you thinking? Adrian asked. Elena pulled up the files on her laptop, the ones she'd been studying for the past 2 days. Park is ambitious. Everything about her screams political aspirations, the right schools, the right cases, the right photo ops. She's not going to run. She's going to fight back. Try to control the narrative. Agreed, Sarah said. She's already scheduling interviews, positioning herself as a victim of false accusations. Which means she's predictable. We know where she'll be, what she'll do. Elena pointed to Park's schedule. She has a press conference scheduled for tomorrow at 10 a.m. outside the courthouse. Very public. Lots of cameras. You want to confront her in public? Marcus looked skeptical. That's risky. Everything's risky, but in public she can't make me disappear. She can't have Torres shoot me without witnesses. She has to engage. Elena looked at Adrian. And while she's focused on me, your people can get to Reeves and Torres. Adrian studied her for a long moment. You've been thinking about this. I haven't been able to think about anything else. It could work, Sarah said slowly. Park won't expect a frontal assault. She thinks we're in hiding. We are in hiding, Marcus pointed out. Not anymore, Elena said. They spent the night planning what Elena would say, how she'd position herself, what the backup plan would be if things went sideways. Adrian wanted to be there, but Elena vetoed it. If you show up, it becomes about you, about organized crime and federal investigations. But if it's just me, a waitress, a civilian caught up in corruption, it's a different story, harder to dismiss. She'll have security. Good. I want witnesses. Tommy barely spoke to her during the preparations. He sat in his room with the door closed, probably gaming or watching videos, pretending the world outside wasn't happening. Elena wanted to go to him, explain, apologize. But what would she say? That she was about to do something even more dangerous than everything that had come before? She knocked on his door around midnight. No answer. She opened it anyway, found him lying on his bed staring at the ceiling. Can I come in? It's not like I can stop you. Elena sat on the edge of the bed. I need to tell you something. Tomorrow, I'm going to do something that might be on the news, something visible, and it might be scary to watch. Tommy finally looked at her. You're going after them, the people who worked with that FBI agent. One of them, yes. Why? Why can't you just let someone else handle it? Because there isn't anyone else, not really. The system's compromised. The people who are supposed to protect us are the ones we're running from. Elena reached for his hand, but he pulled it away. I know you're angry with me. I know you think I ruined everything, and maybe I did, but I can't undo it now. I can only try to finish it. And if you die? The question hung in the air, brutal and honest. Then Sarah and Adrian will take care of you. They've promised me that. You'll be safe. I don't want to be safe without you. Tommy's voice broke. You're all I have left. Elena felt her own composure crack. I know, and I'm going to do everything I can to come back. But if I don't, if something happens, I need you to know that everything I did was to protect you, to give you a future that isn't about hiding and running and fear. Tommy sat up, wrapped his arms around her, and held on like he was drowning. Elena held him back, this kid who'd grown too tall too fast, who'd lost too much already. Don't die, he whispered. Please don't die. I'll do my best. Morning came too fast. Elena dressed in clean clothes, jeans, a simple blouse, nothing fancy. She wanted to look like exactly what she was, a regular person caught up in extraordinary circumstances. Sarah did her makeup, keeping it natural, making sure she looked camera-ready without looking like she'd tried. You're sure about this? Sarah asked, applying the final touches. No, but I'm doing it anyway. The courthouse was already crowded when they arrived. News vans, reporters, cameras everywhere. Park had chosen her battlefield well. Maximum exposure, maximum control. Elena spotted her near the steps, surrounded by handlers and lawyers, perfectly dressed and coiffed. Adrian's voice came through Elena's earpiece. We're in position. You have eyes on every exit. First sign of trouble, we extract you. Copy that, Elena murmured. She pushed through the crowd, feeling eyes on her. Someone recognized her, one of the reporters probably, from the photos that had circulated after the Vesper House incident. Whispers started spreading. That's her. That's Elena Voss, the waitress who was at Red Hook. I heard she was working with Vale. Elena kept moving until she was close enough to the press conference setup to be in camera range. Park's handlers noticed her, tensed. Park herself looked directly at Elena, and something flickered in her expression. Recognition. Calculation. Park leaned to one of her lawyers, whispered something. The lawyer shook his head. Park insisted. Then Park did something Elena didn't expect. She stepped up to the microphone early, before the scheduled start time. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. Before I make my statement, I'd like to address something. She pointed at Elena. That woman there, Elena Voss, has been spreading vicious lies about me and my colleagues. She's part of a coordinated smear campaign orchestrated by organized crime elements to discredit law enforcement. Camera swiveled to Elena. She felt the weight of hundreds of eyes, the pressure of being suddenly, terribly visible. Miss Voss was involved in a kidnapping, Park continued. She has ties to Adrian Vale, a known criminal, and now she's here trying to intimidate me into silence. But I won't be silenced. I won't be intimidated. Elena's heart pounded. Park was flipping the script, going on offense, making Elena the villain. Adrian's voice in her ear. Get out of there. This is going bad. But Elena didn't move. Instead, she stepped forward, and her voice carried across the plaza without needing a microphone. My name is Elena Voss. 4 days ago, I was a waitress. I had a regular life, a brother to take care of, bills to pay. I wasn't involved in anything illegal. I didn't know Adrian Vale. I didn't know Marcus Chen. She locked eyes with Park. But I overheard a conversation about murder, and I made a choice to warn someone. That choice led me to discover that FBI agent Marcus Chen was running illegal operations, stealing money, and using federal agents like Cassandra Hale to do it. The crowd was dead silent now. Jennifer Park knew about it, Elena continued. She helped move money through legal channels. She provided cover when investigations got too close. And now that Chen is dead and the evidence is coming out, she's trying to make me the villain instead of answering for what she did. That's a lie, Park said, but her voice wasn't quite steady. Is it? Then why did Chen transfer $300,000 to an account in your name 2 months ago? Why did you meet with him 17 times in the last year, always off the books? Why did David Sterling, the man who handled Chen's money laundering, list you as a contact on his insurance policy? Park's face went pale. How did you? Cassandra recorded everything. Every conversation, every transaction, every lie you told to cover for Chen. And it's all about to become public. Elena pulled out her phone, held it up. In fact, I'm streaming this conversation right now to 4 different news outlets. Thousands of people are watching you lie in real time. It was a bluff. Elena wasn't streaming anything, but Park didn't know that. The prosecutor's handlers moved forward trying to pull her back, but Park shook them off. You have no proof. No evidence that would hold up in any court. I don't need court-admissible evidence. I just need enough to make people ask questions, and once they start asking, they'll find the answers. Your bank records, your meetings, your involvement in Chen's network. Elena stepped closer. You can't make this go away by attacking me. It's too late for that. Park's mask finally cracked. Fury and fear warred across her face. You stupid girl, you have no idea what you've done. Chen was just one piece. There are others. Bigger players. And now you've painted a target on yourself that will never go away. Then I guess I better learn to shoot straight. Park lunged forward, and for a second Elena thought she was going to attack her physically. But Park's lawyers grabbed her, pulled her back. The crowd erupted in shouts, cameras flashing, reporters yelling questions. Adrian's voice in Elena's ear. That's enough. Time to go. Elena backed away, disappearing into the crowd. She could hear Park still shouting, her handlers trying to control the situation, but it was too late. The damage was done. The questions were out there, and Park's reaction had been captured by every camera in the plaza. Sarah met her 2 blocks away, pulling up in the sedan. Elena jumped in, and they peeled away from the curb. Holy hell, Sarah breathed. That was either the bravest thing I've ever seen or the stupidest. Probably both, Elena said. Her hands were shaking now that the adrenaline was fading. Did it work? Parks finished. The video's already going viral. Her own reaction buried her more than anything you said. Sarah glanced at her. But you were right about one thing. You just made yourself a very visible target. Good. Let them come, at least this way. I'll see them coming. They drove back to the safe house in tense silence. Elena's phone, burner, untraceable, was already lighting up with messages from numbers she didn't recognize. Reporters, probably. Maybe threats. She turned it off. Adrian was waiting when they arrived, and he looked furious. That was reckless. That was necessary. You could have been killed. Park could have had security shoot you on the spot. But she didn't. Because I was right. In public, she had to play by rules. Elena met his glare. And now she's exposed. Reeves and Torres will know their network is collapsing. They'll make mistakes. Or they'll come after you with everything they have. Then we'll be ready. They stared at each other, neither backing down. Finally, Adrian shook his head. You're either going to get yourself killed or change everything. I can't decide which. Why not both? Despite himself, Adrian smiled. Yeah, why not both? The fallout moved faster than anyone expected. By evening, Park had been placed on administrative leave pending investigation. Reeves had turned himself in to federal authorities, apparently deciding cooperation was better than running. Torres remained at large, but Adrian's network was tracking every move, every contact. He's coming, Marcus said, studying surveillance feeds. Torres, he knows you're the one who broke the story. He'll want to make an example. Let him try, Elena said, and was surprised to find she meant it. Tommy emerged from his room for the first time all day. He looked at Elena, really looked at her, like he was seeing someone new. I watched the video, he said quietly. The press conference. And? And you were amazing, scary, but amazing. He managed a small smile. Mom would have been proud. Elena felt tears burn her eyes. Yeah? Yeah. She always said you had more guts than sense. Tommy crossed the room, hugged her hard. I'm still mad at you, but I get it now, why you did it. I'm trying to make things better. For both of us. I know. They held each other for a long moment, and Elena felt something inside her chest unclench. Tommy was still scared. They both were, but at least they were on the same side again. The night settled in, heavy with waiting. Torres was out there somewhere, planning his move. Elena could feel it, the same instinct that had warned her about Cassandra's trap at the restaurant. Something was coming. She just hoped she'd be ready when it arrived. Torres made his move 3 days later, and it wasn't anything like Elena expected. She'd been anticipating violence. A sniper rifle, a car bomb, maybe a late-night break-in with silenced weapons. That's what someone with Torres's background would do. Quick, efficient, lethal. But instead, what arrived was a phone call. Elena's burner rang at 2 a.m. She jerked awake, heart already racing, and saw an unknown number on the screen. She almost didn't answer. But something made her press the button. Elena Voss. The voice was calm, almost pleasant. Male, with just a hint of an accent she couldn't place. My name is Michael Torres. We need to talk. Elena sat up, fully awake now. Across the room, Sarah stirred in her makeshift bed. Elena held up a hand, signaling quiet. I don't think we have anything to talk about, Elena said. I think we have everything to talk about. You destroyed Park's career. Reeves is cooperating with federal investigators. Chen is dead. You've been very busy for a waitress. Former waitress, Torres laughed. Indeed. You've graduated to something more interesting, haven't you? Adrian Vale's newest associate, his secret weapon, the woman who sees things others miss. What do you want? To offer you a deal, a real one, not the trap Chen tried to spring. I want out, Elena. Out of this city, out of this life, out of the mess Chen left behind. And you're going to help me. Elena's mind raced. Why would I do that? Because if you don't, I'm going to kill your brother. Not right away. Not tonight. But eventually, when you think you're safe, when you've let your guard down, I'll find him, and it won't be quick. Torres's voice stayed pleasant, conversational. I have his school schedule. I know which corner store he stops at on Wednesdays. I know he likes to play basketball at the court on 5th Street. I know everything, Elena. And knowing is half the battle. Elena's blood ran cold. You touch him. I won't. Not if you cooperate. Here's the deal. You give me access to Chen's money. All of it. Everything he had in those offshore accounts. The codes, the transfers, everything. In return, I disappear. You never hear from me again. Your brother lives to become whatever mediocre thing he was going to become. I don't have access to Chen's accounts. Cassandra does. And Cassandra is currently in federal custody, singing like a bird. But she trusts you. Told me herself, actually, during one of our last conversations before she turned herself in. Said you were the only honest person in this whole mess. Torres paused. Get the information from her. Bring it to me. We both walk away. And if I refuse, then I start with your brother and work my way through everyone you've ever cared about. Adrian's people, that nice woman Sarah, even that grumpy chef from Vesper House. Raymond, right? He has a daughter in college. It would be a shame if something happened to her. Elena felt sick. You're bluffing. Am I? Check your brother's room. Elena's hand shook as she lowered the phone. She walked to Tommy's door, opened it slowly. The bed was empty, sheets thrown back, window open. Panic hit her like a physical blow. She ran to the window, looked out into the dark alley below. Nothing. No one. Torres's voice came through the phone, tinny and distant. Relax, he's safe, for now. I just wanted you to understand how easy it would be. Your security isn't as good as you think. Elena's throat closed. Where is he? Taking a walk. Against his will, obviously, but unharmed. My associate has him 2 blocks away. He'll be returned within the hour, completely safe, as long as you agree to my terms. Let me talk to him. A pause. Rustling. Then Tommy's voice, shaky but trying to sound brave. Lena, I'm okay. Some guy grabbed me from the fire escape, but I'm... The phone returned to Torres. Satisfied? Now here's what's going to happen. You have 48 hours to get the account information from Cassandra. Once you have it, you'll meet me at a location I'll text you. Come alone. No Adrian, no backup, no tricks. You give me the codes, I give you your brother, and we all move on with our lives. How do I know you'll keep your word? You don't, but you know I'll keep my other promise if you refuse. So really, it's not much of a choice. Torres's voice softened almost kindly. I don't want to hurt you, Elena. I don't want to hurt anyone. I just want to retire somewhere warm and never think about Chen or the Bureau or any of this again. Help me do that, and everyone wins. The line went dead. Elena stood frozen, phone in her hand, mind blank with terror. Then Sarah was there, gun drawn, asking rapid-fire questions. Adrian appeared seconds later, looking like he'd been woken from a nightmare into something worse. He has Tommy, Elena managed. Torres. He took him from his room, through the window. Adrian swore viciously. Marcus was already pulling up security footage, checking the exterior cameras. Got it. 2 men. Professional extraction. They were in and out in under 90 seconds. How the hell did they find us? Doesn't matter how, Adrian said. What matters is getting Tommy back. Torres wants Chen's money, Elena said, voice hollow. He wants me to get the account access from Cassandra and trade it for Tommy. And you're not going to do that, Adrian said. It wasn't a question. The hell I'm not. Elena, think. Torres has no reason to keep his word. The moment he has what he wants, he kills you and Tommy both. You're witnesses. You're loose ends. Then what do you suggest? We let him keep my brother while we figure out a better plan? Elena's voice cracked. He's 14, Adrian. He's scared out of his mind, and it's my fault he's there. It's not your fault. Yes, it is. I got us into this. I made the choice to get involved, and now Tommy's paying the price. Elena felt tears burning, but refused to let them fall. So I'm going to do exactly what Torres wants. I'm going to get the information, and I'm going to trade it for my brother. And then you both die. Maybe, but at least I'll have tried. They stood in tense silence. Finally, Adrian said, there might be another way. If we can get to Cassandra, get her to cooperate, we can set up the exchange on our terms, control the environment, stack the deck. Torres said, come alone. Torres also kidnapped a teenager to force your hand. He doesn't get to dictate terms. Adrian was already moving, making calls, waking up his network. We have 48 hours. Let's use them. Getting to Cassandra meant dealing with the FBI, which meant walking into a building full of people who might want Elena arrested, Adrian dead, or both. But Sarah had contacts, people who owed favors, and by noon they'd arranged a meeting. The federal building was everything Elena expected: concrete and glass, metal detectors, armed guards with expressions that suggested they'd heard every excuse and believed none of them. Sarah walked her through security with credentials that said Elena was a cooperating witness, which was technically true, if incomplete. Cassandra was in a conference room on the 8th floor, flanked by 2 agents and a lawyer who looked like he billed by the minute. She'd changed since the ferry terminal. No makeup, hair pulled back, wearing an orange jumpsuit that washed out her complexion, but her eyes were clear, sharp. She looked up when Elena entered, and something like relief crossed her face. "You came!" "I need your help," Elena said without preamble. "Torres has my brother. He wants Chen's account access. You're the only person who has it." Cassandra glanced at her lawyer, who shook his head minutely. She ignored him. "What makes you think I'd help you?" "Because you told Torres I was the only honest person in this mess. Because despite everything, you still believe in doing the right thing. Because—" Elena swallowed. "Because you know what it's like to lose a sibling, and I'm asking you not to let that happen to me." The lawyer started to object, but Cassandra held up a hand. "Give us the room." "Agent Hale, I strongly advise—" "I said, give us the room." The agents and lawyer filed out reluctantly. Through the glass wall, Elena could see them watching, probably listening through hidden microphones. But at least there was an illusion of privacy. Cassandra leaned back in her chair. "Torres is smart. Smarter than Chen ever was. More patient. If he has your brother, he's already planned for every contingency. Can you help me or not?" "I can give you the account information. But it won't matter. The moment Torres has it, he'll kill you both. You're not walking away from this, Elena." "Then help me figure out how to change that. You spent 18 months planning operations, running scenarios, thinking 3 steps ahead. Use that now. Help me save my brother." Cassandra studied her for a long moment. "Why should I? You helped destroy everything I worked for. You exposed me, ruined my career, made me into a traitor." "I exposed Chen. You were already a traitor the moment you started recording him." Elena met her gaze. "And maybe that's the point. You became a traitor because you believed in something bigger than the Bureau, bigger than the operation. You wanted to make a difference. Well, here's your chance. One more time. Help me." Something shifted in Cassandra's expression. A decision made. "The accounts are encrypted," she said. "Multiple layers of security. Even with the access codes, it takes time to transfer the money. Hours, sometimes days, depending on the amount and the jurisdictions involved. So Torres can't just take the codes and run. No, he needs time to move the money, which means he needs you alive at least long enough to verify the codes work and initiate the transfers." Cassandra pulled out a piece of paper and a pen from the lawyer's abandoned briefcase. She started writing. "Here's what you're going to do." The plan was risky, maybe suicidal, but it was something. Cassandra would provide the real account codes, but modified. They'd work initially, allow Torres to see the balances and begin transfers, but would trigger delays. Banking security protocols that would freeze the money mid-transfer, pending verification. That verification would require codes only Cassandra had, and which she would only provide if Tommy was released safely. "It's a hostage exchange," Elena said. "Money for Tommy, codes for verification." "Exactly. Torres gets enough to believe it's real, but not enough to disappear. He'll need you alive to complete the transaction." "Until he doesn't." "Until he doesn't," Cassandra agreed. "Which is where your people come in. You'll need backup, real backup, ready to move the second Tommy is clear." Torres said come alone. "Torres is expecting an ambush. He'd be suspicious if you actually came alone. The trick is making the backup look accidental. Wrong place, wrong time, happened to be there." Cassandra finished writing and slid the paper across the table. "These are the codes. Memorize them. Don't write them down anywhere else." "And Elena?" "Yeah. I'm sorry. For what I did to Adrian, for dragging you into this, for all of it. I thought I was doing the right thing. Turns out I was just doing Chen's thing." "You're helping now. That counts for something. Maybe, or maybe I'm just trying to feel less terrible about myself." Cassandra managed a sad smile. "Either way, good luck." You're going to need it. Elena memorized the codes, burned the paper in an ashtray, and left the federal building with Sarah. They'd been inside less than an hour, but it felt like days. Did she help? Sarah asked once they were safely in the car. Yeah, she gave me a way to maybe not die immediately. Elena stared out the window at the city passing by. It's not much, but it's something. Back at the safe house, Adrian had assembled a team. Not his usual people. They'd be too recognizable. Instead, a group of contractors, freelancers who did this kind of work for money rather than loyalty. People Torres wouldn't immediately identify as Adrian's. We'll position them around the exchange site, Adrian explained, pointing to a map. Torres will check for obvious surveillance, but these people are good at being invisible. When Tommy's clear, they move. And if Torres shoots first? Then they shoot back, and we hope you're not in the crossfire. Elena appreciated the honesty, if not the content. The text from Torres came 18 hours later. A location, an abandoned parking garage in the industrial district. Time, midnight tomorrow. Instructions. Come alone, bring the codes, leave your phone behind. He's giving us time to prepare, Marcus noted. That's unusual. Either he's very confident or very paranoid. Both, Adrian said. Torres doesn't make mistakes. If he's giving us time, it's because he's already planned for what we'll do with it. The next day crawled by. Elena tried to eat, couldn't. Tried to sleep, failed. She kept thinking about Tommy, wondering if he was scared, if he was hurt, if Torres was treating him okay, or if this whole thing was already over and she just didn't know it yet. Sarah found her in the kitchen around 10 p.m., staring at nothing. You don't have to do this, Sarah said quietly. We could extract Tommy another way, trace Torres' location, hit him before the exchange. And risk Tommy dying in the crossfire? No. Elena shook her head. This is the play. It's the only play. Adrian's worried about you. Adrian's worried about everyone. It's his job. No, I mean really worried, like he cares. Sarah poured 2 glasses of water, handed one to Elena. He doesn't let people in. Hasn't in years. But you got through, somehow. Elena didn't know what to say to that. I'm just trying to survive. You're doing more than surviving. You're changing things, changing him. Sarah smiled faintly. Try not to die tonight. I think he'd take it personally. At 11:30, they left for the parking garage. Elena rode in silence, wearing dark clothes and a vest that Sarah insisted would stop most bullets. Not all, just most. Super comforting. The garage was exactly what Torres had promised. Abandoned, decrepit, perfect for an ambush from either direction. Adrian's contractors were already in position, invisible in the shadows. Elena could feel them more than see them, which she supposed was the point. We're with you. Adrian's voice came through her earpiece. Every step. Elena walked into the garage alone. Her footsteps echoed off concrete. Somewhere above, she heard the flutter of pigeons disturbed from their roosts. The air smelled like motor oil and decay. Level 3, Torres's voice called out. Take the stairs. Elena climbed. Each level was darker than the last, lit only by occasional security lights that still worked. By the 3rd level, she could barely see 10 feet in front of her. Torres stood in the center of the level, illuminated by a portable work light. Next to him, Tommy sat in a chair, hands zip-tied, tape over his mouth. But he was alive, breathing, looking at Elena with eyes that tried to be brave and failed. Elena Voss, Torres said. Right on time. I appreciate punctuality. Let him go. All in good time. First the codes. First I see that he's okay. Remove the tape. Torres smiled. Fair enough. He ripped the tape off Tommy's mouth. Tommy gasped, started to speak, but Torres put a hand on his shoulder. Quiet. Adults are talking. You okay? Elena asked Tommy. I'm fine. They didn't hurt me. Tommy's voice shook. Lena, you shouldn't have come. He's going to... I said quiet, Torres interrupted pleasantly. He looked at Elena. The codes. Now. Elena recited them. Torres entered them into a tablet, checked the results. His smile widened. Excellent. The accounts are accessible. The money's there. He started entering transfer commands. This will take a few minutes. The beauty of modern banking. So secure, so slow. Let Tommy go. You have what you need. Not quite. I need verification that the transfers will complete. These systems have safeguards, you see. Ways to freeze suspicious transactions. And $17 million moving from offshore accounts to a new location, that's very suspicious. Torres looked up. So, here's what's going to happen. You and your brother are going to stay here while I confirm the first transfer. Once it clears, should be about 20 minutes, I'll release you both. You have my word. Your word means nothing. True. But it's all you're getting. Torres checked his tablet again. Transfer initiated. Now we wait. Elena could feel time stretching, elastic and terrible. In her ear, Adrian's voice. Transfers are showing on our end. Cassandra was right. They're being flagged by security protocols. He'll need the secondary codes within 15 minutes, or the whole thing locks down. You knew, Torres said suddenly. He was staring at his tablet, expression darkening. You knew these codes would trigger security holds. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't play stupid. Someone modified these accounts, set up additional verification steps. Torres pulled a gun, pointed it at Tommy's head. Call Cassandra. Now, get me the verification codes or the kid dies. I can't call her. I don't have my phone. You told me to leave it behind. Torres swore, vicious and creative. Then we have a problem, because in about 12 minutes, these transfers are going to freeze completely. And if I can't access this money, I have no reason to keep either of you alive. Let Tommy go and I'll get you the codes. I can contact Cassandra, get what you need, but not with a gun to my brother's head. You think I'm stupid? The moment he's free, you have no incentive to cooperate. And if you kill him, you definitely don't get the codes. So we're at an impasse. Elena forced her voice steady. But here's a third option. You let Tommy walk out of here. I stay as collateral. Once he's safe, I make the call, get the codes, complete the transfer. You get your money, I get my brother, everybody wins. Torres studied her. Why would you trust me to let you go after? I don't. But I trust that you want the money more than you want revenge. $17 million buys a lot of tropical beaches and cold drinks. Killing me just makes you feel better for 30 seconds. Elena met his eyes. Take the deal, Torres. It's the best one you're going to get. The seconds stretched. Tommy was crying silently, tears running down his face. Torres's gun never wavered. Finally, fine, the kid goes, you stay. But if those codes aren't delivered in 10 minutes, I start shooting parts of you until either you die or someone comes running. And if Adrian's people move before the transfer completes, you die first. Clear? Crystal. Torres cut Tommy's zip ties. Walk. Don't run. Don't look back. Just walk. You've got 30 seconds before I change my mind. Tommy looked at Elena. She nodded. Go. I'll be right behind you. Tommy ran. Elena watched him disappear down the stairs, heard his footsteps echoing away. In her ear, Adrian's voice. We've got him. He's safe. Now get out of there. But Elena couldn't move yet. Torres still had the gun on her, and the tablet in his other hand showed 9 minutes until the transfer froze. Make the call, Torres said. I told you I don't have a phone. Then use mine. He tossed her a burner. Cassandra's number is already programmed. Tell her to release the codes, or I kill you and disappear. She gets nothing. The money stays locked, and you die for nothing. Elena caught the phone. Her hands were shaking. She dialed, and Cassandra answered on the second ring. Elena? He needs the verification codes. The transfers are freezing. He's going to kill me if you don't release them. A pause. Then Cassandra's voice, carefully neutral. Is Tommy safe? Yes. And Torres is listening to this conversation? Yes. Good. Tell him the codes are 8872 Delta, Foxtrot 663. That should unlock the transfers. He'll have his money in 3 minutes. Elena repeated the codes. Torres entered them, watched his screen. His expression shifted from tense to satisfied. Transfer resuming. You were telling the truth. He lowered the gun slightly. Color me impressed. I really thought this was going to end in violence. It still might, Adrian said, stepping out of the shadows behind Torres. Torres spun, gun coming up, but Adrian already had his weapon trained. They stood in a classic standoff, 10 feet apart, both with clean shots. Adrian Vale, Torres said. Should have known you'd be here. Should have known you'd walk into a trap. Adrian replied. Drop the gun. No, I don't think I will, because if I drop it, you shoot me. And if I keep it, we're at a stalemate. Unless, Torres's gun swung back toward Elena. Unless I change the equation. You shoot her, I shoot you, Adrian said calmly. True, but you care about her, and I don't care about anything anymore. So who's really holding the cards here? Elena felt the moment crystallize. Torres was right. Adrian would hesitate, just for a second, and that second would be enough. She saw it in Adrian's eyes. The calculation, the terrible choice. So Elena made a different choice. She threw herself sideways, away from Torres's gun line, in the same motion grabbing the work light and swinging it hard. The metal base caught Torres in the knee. Not enough to stop him, but enough to make him stumble. Adrian fired. The shot caught Torres in the shoulder, spinning him. Torres's gun went off wild, the bullet punching into concrete. Adrian fired again, center mass this time. Torres went down hard. Elena scrambled backward, breathing hard, ears ringing from the gunfire. Adrian moved forward, kicked Torres's gun away, checked for a pulse. He's alive, Adrian said. Barely. Get medical up here. The garage filled with people. Adrian's contractors, actual EMTs, police that someone had called. Torres was loaded onto a stretcher, cuffed even while unconscious. The tablet with the transfer information was confiscated as evidence. Elena found herself sitting on the hood of a car, wrapped in a shock blanket she didn't remember receiving. Sarah appeared with water. Adrian stood nearby, talking to someone official-looking. You okay? Sarah asked. I don't know. Ask me tomorrow. Elena's hands wouldn't stop shaking. Is Tommy really safe? Yeah, Marcus has him at a different location. Secured, protected. He's asking about you. Tell him I'm fine. Are you? Elena thought about it. About everything that had happened in the past week. About the life she'd lost and the one she'd somehow stumbled into. I'm alive. That's something. The official-looking person turned out to be FBI. A different branch, not compromised by Chen's network, conducting the investigation into the entire mess. They had questions. Lots of questions. Elena answered them as best she could, though exhaustion made it hard to keep her thoughts straight. Finally, around 4 a.m., they let her go. Adrian drove her back to the safe house himself. They didn't talk. There wasn't much to say that hadn't been said with bullets and blood. Tommy was waiting when they arrived. He tackled Elena with a hug that nearly knocked her over, and for a long moment they just held each other. You came for me, Tommy whispered. You actually came. Of course I did. You're my brother. There was never a question. When Torres grabbed me, I thought maybe this was it, that I'd messed up so bad, being angry at you, saying all that stuff. None of that matters. What matters is we're both here, both alive. Elena pulled back, looked at him, and we're going to stay that way. The sun was coming up by the time things settled. Torres was in custody, critical but stable. Park and Reeves were facing federal charges. Cassandra's cooperation had bought her a reduced sentence, 3 years instead of 15. The Meridian Foundation was under investigation, but preliminary audits suggested most of its work was legitimate. Sarah Chen, the doctor, had apparently known nothing about her husband's activities. It's over, Sarah said, bringing Elena coffee. The network's dismantled. Chen's people are either arrested or running. You did it. We did it, Elena corrected. All of us. Adrian joined them in the kitchen. He looked exhausted, older somehow. The FBI wants you to testify. Against Torres, against the others. It'll mean depositions, court appearances, months of reliving all of this. Will it help? Putting them away? Yes. Then I'll do it. Elena sipped her coffee. It was terrible, but it was hot. What about you? What happens to your operation now that everyone knows about it? We adapt. Move some things, restructure others. It's not the first time I've had to rebuild. Adrian met her eyes. The question is what you want to do. That offer still stands. New identity, fresh start, enough money to take care of Tommy, and then some. You can disappear. Be safe. Elena thought about it. Really thought about it. I spent 6 years being invisible, she said finally. Being safe, being small, being someone who watched things happen instead of making them happen. And yeah, I was safe. But I wasn't alive. Not really. You're saying you want to stay. I'm saying I want a choice that isn't running or hiding. I want, Elena struggled to find words. I want to matter. To use whatever this is, this ability to see things, to actually make a difference. You said you need people you can trust, people who see clearly. Well, here I am. If you'll have me. Adrian was quiet for a long moment. It's dangerous, you know that now. You've seen what this world does to people. I also know what doing nothing does to people. I watched my mom work herself to death at jobs that barely kept us fed. I watched people suffer because no one with power cared enough to help. At least here with you, I can do something about it. She met his gaze. I'm not saying I want to be a criminal, but I'm saying I want to work with you, learn from you, figure out how to use this new life I accidentally stumbled into. And Tommy? Elena glanced at her brother, who'd fallen asleep on the couch. Tommy deserves to grow up somewhere safe, real safe, not safe house safe. He needs school, friends, a chance to be a normal kid. I can arrange that. Good schools, security that doesn't look like security. He'll be protected, but he'll also be free. Adrian paused. What about you? What do you need? Training, knowledge, understanding of how this world actually works instead of just surviving it through instinct. Elena smiled faintly. And maybe a better coffee maker. This stuff is awful. Adrian laughed, surprised and genuine. Deal. 3 weeks later, Elena stood in Adrian's rebuilt operations center. Not the warehouse. That location was burned. This was a new place, cleaner, more sophisticated. She had her own office, if you could call a desk and a wall of monitors an office. Tommy was enrolled in a private school in Connecticut, living with a carefully vetted family who thought Elena worked in consulting and traveled frequently. It was close enough that she could visit on weekends, far enough that he was safe from anything that might touch her life. She hated being away from him, but she also knew he was thriving. His last report card had been straight A's. He'd made friends. He was learning to code, talking about college like it was a real possibility instead of a distant dream. And Elena? Elena was learning too. Sarah taught her about security systems, surveillance, how to read people not just instinctively but analytically. Marcus showed her the financial side, how money moved through the world's dark places, how to trace it, how to understand what people were really doing based on where their money went. Adrian taught her strategy, how to think 3 moves ahead, how to read a situation and see not just what was happening but what was about to happen. How to protect people who the system had failed. Because that's what they did, Elena was learning. Yes, Adrian broke laws. Yes, some of what he did existed in moral gray areas that made her uncomfortable, but he also protected people. Witnesses that the FBI had abandoned. Abuse victims that the courts couldn't help. People who'd run out of legal options and needed someone to step in. We're not heroes, Adrian told her during one of their late-night strategy sessions. We're just people who decided the rules as written aren't good enough. That sometimes you have to break a bad law to uphold a better principle. Sounds like rationalization, Elena said. Maybe. But if it helps people survive, does it matter? Elena thought about her mother, who'd followed every rule and died broke. About Tommy, who would have aged out of the foster system if Elena hadn't fought for guardianship. About all the people she'd served at Vesper House, so many of them struggling with problems that money and power could solve but never did. No, she said finally. I guess it doesn't. 4 months after the night at the ferry terminal, Elena got a message from Cassandra. It came through official channels. Cassandra was still in minimum security, serving her reduced sentence. But the Bureau had allowed her limited communication. The message was short. Thank you for giving me a chance to do the right thing at the end. I hope you're finding what you're looking for. Elena wrote back, I hope you find it too. She never got a response, but she hadn't expected one. On a Saturday in late fall, Elena drove up to Connecticut to see Tommy. He met her at the door of his host family's house, taller than she remembered, wearing a sweater she didn't recognize. Hey, he said, grinning. How's the consulting business? Busy, complicated. How's school? Same. They walked to a nearby park, the kind of safe, beautiful place Tommy had never had access to in their old neighborhood. Lena, can I ask you something? Always. Are you happy? Like, actually happy, not just safe. Elena thought about it, about her new life, the work she was doing, the difference she was making, about the people she'd helped in the past few months. A woman escaping domestic violence, a whistleblower who needed protection, a kid not much older than Tommy who'd witnessed something he shouldn't have and needed to disappear. "Yeah," she said. "I think I am. It's scary sometimes and hard, and I'm still figuring it out, but it matters. What I do matters." "Good." Tommy bumped her shoulder. "Mom would be proud. You know that, right? That you didn't just survive, you actually did something." Elena felt her throat tighten. "You think so?" "I know so. She was always saying you had potential, that you saw things other people missed. Guess she was right." They sat on a park bench watching kids play soccer in the distance. Normal kids, having normal lives. The kind of life Tommy was building for himself. "I miss you," Tommy said quietly. "I know this is better, being here, having opportunities and stuff, but I miss you. I miss you too. Every day." Elena put her arm around him. "But you're safe. You're thriving, and that's what matters." "What about you? Are you safe?" Elena thought about the work, the risks, the constant dance between doing good and staying alive. "Safe enough. And I've got people watching my back. Good people." "Like Adrian?" "Yeah, like Adrian." Tommy nodded. "He called me last week. Did you know that?" Elena blinked. "No? Why?" "To check on me. Make sure I was okay, that the family was treating me right, that I had everything I needed. He didn't say it was from you." "It wasn't. That was him." "He cares about you," Tommy said. "Like really cares, I can tell." "It's complicated." "Everything about your life is complicated now. Doesn't mean it's bad." Tommy looked at her seriously. "Just don't die, okay? I already lost Mom. I can't lose you too." "I'm not going anywhere," Elena promised. "I'm just getting started." Back in the city that night, Elena found Adrian in his office, surrounded by case files and coffee cups. He looked up when she entered. "How's Tommy?" "Good. Happy. He said you called him." Adrian shrugged. "Wanted to make sure he was adjusting okay. That's all." "That's not all. But thank you." Elena sat down across from him. "I've been thinking about something you said, about how you've been alone for a long time." "Elena, I'm not trying to make this weird. I'm just saying you don't have to be alone anymore. You've got people. Me, Sarah, Marcus. People who chose to be here, who believe in what you're doing." She met his eyes. "You saved my life. I saved yours. Maybe that counts for something." Adrian was quiet for a moment, then, "Counts for everything." They worked late into the night, planning their next move, mapping out strategies. And somewhere in the middle of reviewing surveillance footage and tracking financial transfers, Elena realized something. She'd been searching her whole life for a place where she mattered, where her ability to see things, to notice what others missed, was valuable instead of just making her different, where she could protect the people she loved while actually making a difference in the world. She'd found it in the strangest place imaginable, not in safety or normalcy or the quiet life she'd always thought she wanted, but here, in this world of shadows and secrets, working alongside people who operated outside the rules because the rules had failed too many times. Was it perfect? No. Was it safe? Definitely not. Would she choose it again, knowing everything she knew now? Elena looked at Adrian, at Sarah coordinating logistics in the next room, at the files spread across the desk representing people who needed help and had nowhere else to turn. Yeah, she would choose it, every time. 6 months after walking into Vesper House for what she thought would be just another shift, Elena Voss stood in front of a mirror getting ready for an operation. Not a waitress anymore, not invisible, not small. She was someone who changed outcomes, someone who saw what others missed and dared to act on it, someone who'd walked through fire and come out sharper, stronger, more herself than she'd ever been. The woman in the mirror looked back at her with clear eyes, ready, unafraid. "You coming?" Adrian called from the hallway. Elena smiled. "Yeah, I'm coming." She walked out of the room, into the night, into the work that waited, into a life that was dangerous and complicated and impossible and hers. and she'd never felt more alive. The city sprawled beneath them, full of secrets and lies and people who needed someone to notice, someone to care, someone to fight for them when the system wouldn't. Elena Voss wasn't a hero. She wasn't perfect. She was just a woman who'd learned that sometimes the right choice is the dangerous one, that sometimes seeing clearly means seeing the hard truths no one else wants to acknowledge, that sometimes saving yourself means stopping being invisible and daring to matter. She'd started as a waitress who overheard the wrong conversation. Now she was something else, something she was still defining, but whatever she was, wherever this path led, she was walking it with her eyes open and her head high. And that, she thought, was more than enough.